Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome. You are here for Burnout. We're talking about burnout and the impact of burnout and bouncing back from burnout. So many of us, I'm sure, have experienced some type of burnout in our jobs. And so we're going to talk about it today from the perspective of Black women in toxic jobs because it's a common experience. So we also want to talk about it from the perspective of not only the experience, but also what are the signs so that you can recognize for yourself if you are experiencing burnout and what to do about it. So my guest is going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. And so again, this is really to provide you with information of what to look out for and then what to do about it, okay? So before my guest introduces herself, I'm going to ask you, everyone, as you're watching, as you're coming into this room, please give this video a thumbs up. It's going to be good. Okay, so give this video a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Lifting As We Climb Consulting, Wellness Services. And we still got a little time. So reach out to your sister friends and say, girl, we're about to go live, okay? So let them know so they can be a part of this lively discussion, okay? So I'm going to turn it over to Apryl. So Apryl, if you can briefly introduce yourself and we'll go right into the discussion.
Sure thing. First of all, thank you, Dr. Kamani, for allowing me to come on your platform and sharing it with me because it is so important to hear messages so that people feel like they're not alone. Women feel like they're not alone. Yes, my name is Apryl Thatch. I'm known as Apryl or Positively Apryl. And what I do is I have a new YouTube channel and I share the highs and the lows as I go through my process after having left not one, but two toxic jobs and really beginning to stop that cycle and the healing that needed to occur, the joy that needed to come back in my life, and having some balance and making sure that I not only set some boundaries, but that I uphold them.
Absolutely. And Apryl, I just want to tell everyone how I know Apryl. So both of us are part of Stephanie Perry's YouTube Success Society.
Yes.
So Stephanie Perry, if you don't follow her, you need to follow her. Particularly if you're a Black woman. And her YouTube challenge really helps you to create your YouTube challenge. And the YouTube Success Society helps you grow your channel. So I'm always very thankful to Stephanie Perry because I just reached 3,000 subscribers. So I'm excited about that. And I never would have gotten there without Stephanie Perry. So thank you, Stephanie Perry. Thank you so much. So
thank you, Stephanie.
You said so many things that I want to comment about.
Okay.
So you talked about having more than one toxic job. I think many of us have had more than one toxic job. That is very common. I think the problem is that as Black women, we don't talk about it. Yeah. We just come to expect or come to believe that all jobs are toxic. Mm-hmm. So why complain about it? Let's just put our heads down. Let's just do what we got to do. That's the first thing. Then you also talked about taking your power back and leaving because you're like, no, this is not working for me, and really getting, your health back. And then you talked about joy. And I think as Black women, we don't have an opportunity to talk about joy. And what's so sad to me is that, as a therapist, and as a business coach, a lot of Black women that I encounter really feel like they don't have space for joy, they don't have time for joy, or their joy is expensive. Mm-hmm. So we're dispelling that. Ladies, we're dispelling that, okay?
Joy is free, $99.
Joy is free. Yes. Say it again, Apryl. Say it again.
I said joy is free $99. It's the perfect.
Yes, it's free $99. It absolutely is free $99. And I think that when we buy into the lie that we are the workhorses of this world, because that's the social programming, right? Yes. So Zora Neale Hurston talked about that, the social conditioning. So Zora Neale Hurston, brilliant author, talked about this in Their Eyes Are Watching God, that Black women are the mules of society. Yes. And I think this really looks at not only society, but how things in society, that oppression trickles over to jobs. And so in jobs, many times we are treated like the workhorses, the mules, right? And I think what makes it bad too, Apryl, is that not only are we treated like the workhorses, we're treated as if we can just, it doesn't bother us. Like we should just take it, because we are so strong. We are so strong, which really dehumanizes us, that we don't have emotion, which is a lie. And then we're portrayed as like the superwoman. So I would love to hear from you, Apryl, about how did this impact you in your jobs, these toxic jobs that you had in terms of that whole situation of being seen as the workhorse? What did that look like in your work environment and how did that impact you?
Sure thing. Before I get into that, let me correct something here. You
Yes.
said I left the job and took my power back. Actually, I got in my car. I peeled out the parking lot and I never went back.
Woo!
I ran away.
That's what I'm talking about.
I ran
Girl,
away.
girl, girl, wait. I gotta say something, Apryl. I love that. Okay. You know what I love about that is that you were like, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Alicia Renee said this in her recent video. Everybody, I did a series of videos to Alicia Renee's recent video, which was so good. It was, it's not imposter syndrome, it's oppression.
Yes.
Check out that video. And I've done a series of reaction videos to that because it was so good. But Apryl, that's an example of that. It was so much oppression at that job that you said, I'm taking my freedom back.
And yeah, I ran off the plantation. And that's what I used to reference it to. Like I ran off. I fled the plantation.
Right.
I didn't know at the time everything that I was experiencing. I didn't understand that it was anxiety. I didn't understand that it was overwhelm. I didn't understand that it was, forms of extreme social anxiety. I didn't understand that some of the things that I was going through, the physiological things, the high blood pressure, the cortisol level through the roof, my hormones acting a fool. I never associated that with what was happening at work. And so it's funny that you mentioned what Zora Neale Hurston said, and it makes me think about the Malcolm X quote that there is no person in America that's more disrespected than the Black women.
Right. We're the most unprotected women in this country.
Exactly.
People. Right. Yes.
For me, I showed up more as like the magical Negro. That trope in fiction. If you think about Green Mile, Bagger Vance, just there's a bunch. Just think about the mammies that we've seen in older movies, and the kind of revised mammies that's turned into the super smart, sassy,
right. Like, I got your back. I can take anything. Yes. Right.
They always have the best advice. They're always the one that people lean on and call on.
Yeah.
So at work, it showed up as the magical Negro. I was typically the token Black. I was a diversity hire. Now I'm qualified. As a matter of fact, I was more qualified than a lot of the people that I worked with. But I still knew that they didn't want me there. And so I made sure that I did work. I naturally and instinctively volunteered for things. I didn't say no if they said, oh, Apryl, can you do this? I would say, okay. That just means that I have to work longer and I have to work harder. And then I was also seen, in addition to like the magical Negro, I remember that they started calling me auto-magically Apryl. Auto-magic is a term that is usually for machines and computers, that they do things, automatically, and it kind of
dehumanizing you.
Yeah. So I looked up that term, but certain things used to really be a badge of honor for me. Like looking at my Outlook, and I would color code things, and I'm like, oh God, I don't have any room in here. I used to derive some type of validation from that. I don't typically need external validation, simply because of how I was raised and just the way that I used to think about myself. I internalize things. I validate, like the way that validation shows up for me is a job well done. You don't have to tell me thank you. I was raised being the family that helped at all the weddings, at all the homegoings. Like we always got put to work when we went someplace. And, so to me, it was just something that I was conditioned to do. Church, you're taught not to question authority. I did a YouTube video recently on the pitfalls of perfection. And is it Black women's largest hurdle to living their dreams? And I talked about some of that conditioning, that it happens at home where we grow up, and depending on the things that are passed down from generation to generation, like we were technically preconditioned. So then at church, the things that we learned, not to question authority, and just how there's always some markers of what's perfection and considered perfect, and how the goalpost continues to move and move and move.
You'll never reach it.
No, that's the nature of corporate, and that's the
Yeah.
nature of people who are penalizing you for
Yes.
being in breathing their air and being
Yes.
in the same space as them. They're going to heap the things on you. And I used to think like, well, I know they don't like it. I know they don't want me here, but you know what? That I'm just gonna outwork. I'm just gonna,
Woo.
work harder to prove that I deserve to be here.
Mm.
You know,
And Marissa Price is here. So Marissa
girl,
Price,
Marissa.
I love Marissa too, right? So I have the pleasure of working with Marissa Price. And she, in fact, Alicia quoted Marissa Price. And Marissa, if I say this wrong, correct me, okay? But I think she said that you can't outwork oppression. So that's the lie that we've been fed, is that if you work really hard, if you work twice as hard, you'll get it. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. But it's killing us. It's
It
killing
is. We
and
show
it's
up to
a
work
lie.
sick. I was raised that you go to work so your manager or your boss can see that you're sick and let them send you home. Like that's how I
What?
was raised. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they always, my mother raised us, my mother and father raised, it was 4 daughters, but they really put us on to how the others think and
Yes.
what they think about us. And
Yes.
unfortunately, it led to a lot of fear and mistrust. But it also was true. The
Yeah.
parts that didn't lead, that were positive about it was the fact that it was true.
Yeah.
That unfortunately they think we're lying. We are held to a different standard. I think we have pretty much the majority of Black women that went on the college prep track, or even if you go into any type of like job, we know
Yeah.
that we have to be better. We know that we
Exactly.
have to be smarter.
No passes for us.
Exactly. So what does that look like when you've been told that, always like you can't act up in school because they're going to, they're going to treat you different. It's
Mhm.
just all of those things, they show up at work. And frankly, if you think about the 40-hour work week, how it was started for manufacturing. A lot of the things that are carried over, they're archaic. So it's important to, get with a company or be on your own. I
Yeah.
know that I'm not designed to work for other people
Yeah.
long term.
Me
And
either.
yeah, there's an end to justify the means.
Yes.
What I'm doing now, but I don't have emotions. I'm not emotionally involved. I
Attached.
enjoy it. I do my
Yeah.
best, but I have these strict boundaries and
Yes.
barriers. And like my car, when I'm driving, all the little sensors, if something gets too close, it starts beeping. I
Yeah.
had to set those things up before I went back into a corporate environment, because when I left corporate the second time, so the first time I ran off from a job, I declined a
Well,
promotion.
I'm sorry, April. I have to say
Yes.
this. This is the therapist in me, even though it's not a therapist session. I can't help myself, right? You were not running away. You're reclaiming your power.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to start to use that. I'm going to add that to my
You're reclaiming your power back. Yeah.
goals, because I'm reframing my perspective. There's words in different affirmations that I give myself to be able to, like I don't have to justify why I want something. I used to feel guilty about it. And then that moved, I got better with that. That moved to, well, I need to justify it. And now with my clinician, I'm moving away from that to because I want it. The end.
Yes.
Like,
So that's what I want. I don't have to explain it to anybody. I don't have to prove my worth to anybody. And then, what's interesting too, and I heard you say clinician. So, we're advocating for the power of therapy, right?
Yes.
So I'm a Black woman therapist and I have a Black woman therapist, right?
I have one as well.
Therapy is a beautiful thing. Okay. So, well, I have information description section also if you're trying to find a Black therapist. Okay. Also want to say this, ladies, if you're reaching out to me for therapy, I'm not accepting new clients. I have a full caseload. I'm not accepting new therapy clients, but I will talk with you a little later about how I am able to help you, right? So, April, so many things you're saying. I just love it, right? So you were talking about, trying to prove our worth to people, like you said, that are mediocre at best. They are mediocre at best. And then we're trying to overextend ourselves. Alicia Bernice was talking about that in that video. The imposter, it's not imposter syndrome, it's oppression. The system is rigged against us.
Exactly.
Or it's crooked. Everything about the system is crooked. But as Black women, we're coming in, we're doing it, right? We're like like I said, overqualified. We're coming to these systems that are dysfunctional. And many times they are kind of ruled by very insecure people, deeply insecure people, probably who are not even qualified to have a job. So when we come in and they see, well, they hired us because they know that we're good, right?
Right.
But
Well,
then
we got to stay in our place. We can be good, but we got to stay in
in
our
our
place.
place. Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
that part, right? So stay in our place. But then the thing too is we got to be good, but not too good, right? So the whole pet to threat. So everybody, if you don't know about pet to threat, check out the videos I've done about pet to threat. I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of pet to threat. And I have to give honor to the Black women researchers who created pet to threat because what? Guess what? People try to steal their work. Okay. So I'm going to say their names so you know who they are. Okay. So Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps created Pet the Threat. Pet the Threat deals with when a Black woman comes to the workplace, she is sought out because she is outstanding. You all here, more than likely, you are outstanding at the job you do. April, outstanding the work she did. I was outstanding with our work I did. They love us. Oh my God, April. They call you great names, right? She's just doing it. We love April so much, right? Then, oh my God, if April or Dr. Kamani or anyone here, you start outshining the people in the workplace, times again, are mediocre at best. And a lot of times they got in there not because of their qualifications, okay?
Yeah.
Then when you're outshining them, then you are seen as and treated like the threat. And it's a full attack on them, right? Full attack, right? And you said the part about put you in your place. So I wanted to talk about that briefly too, April, because I think that many of us have been told you go to college, you do well, you get a job, you stay there till you retire, right? And your hard work will pay off. That is not true for many of us. It's not true. All these other dynamics we're talking about. And when we do these things and we get all these degrees, I know Marissa Price, Colette Elizabeth have done videos about one more degree is not going to save you.
It won't.
One more credential is not going to save you. Because actually, what I've experienced, I have a doctorate. What I've experienced is that people are so insecure about your qualifications, they will be even more obnoxious and more determined to take you down and put you in your place because you're so far above them. And so again, Black women, be mindful that when this stuff is happening to you, pay attention to the signs. So what I heard from you, April, is that because of the experiences that you've had, that you are now more observant of what the signs are. So as you went into another job, you were like, okay, I'm going into this job, for whatever reason, time limited, whatever, it's a purpose. But I'm very aware of certain things to look out for. And you're centering yourself. You're not falling into that lie about proving your worth and being the workhorse and all those other things. And that is so hilarious. Ladies, did you all hear? April drove to the job and she did a U-turn. Was like, I'm out. Right? I'm out.
It was after an offsite. I can tell you briefly, it was after an offsite. Same thing in 2014 when, I what do you say, ran towards my freedom?
Yes, you reclaimed you reclaimed it.
So when I reclaimed my freedom, yes. So when I left that job, it was because I turned down a promotion. And my director at that time told me, some variation. I remember her saying you should be grateful, and she was all red in the face and popping off. And because
how dare you?
Yeah. But that's not the first time. I left the second job too. Yes. And they had been, long story made short, I was brought in to build up one department, and because I was so good at it, they had me build up another one, creating everything.
Reward you with more work.
Right. So I'm doing my team, and then I'm the interim director on another team. And then that was so great. They wanted me to do, even though my team was growing, they wanted me to do a third team. And I stayed in that role a lot longer. Also in my role, again, I took it as, well, if they didn't think I can do it, they wouldn't have asked me to do it. Now I see that I would be like, absolutely no. No, that's not happening.
Good.
Yeah, that. But again, that was just the mindset that I was in. And I felt so helpless, and I felt lost. And it was like, I know I need to go, but I don't know what's going to happen when I get there, but I know I can't stay here. And so it was an offsite. I'd been for probably a couple months. all the way up the chain, you know, my director, the SVP, the EVP was at an offsite. And long story made short, during a break, he said, hey, can I talk to you? Hey, I heard that, you know, you don't want that role. And I'm like, no, at this point, I have my spiel. I started working with a therapist to attempt to put up boundaries. And I say it because they weren't having it. So, and she kept telling me, maybe you need to take some time off. And I'm just like, my work, I have so much work to do. And who's going to do this? And they're going to be mad at me. Like, you know, the whole thing.
You loyal to the job, like Stephanie Perry said.
Yeah.
You've been loyal, and you loyal to this job.
Yeah, again, I was conditioned to do that.
Yeah.
So I know why, looking back now, and I learned why.
Yeah.
Just like I was conditioned to people please, just like I was conditioned to be able to take overwhelm and to be that strong Black woman. But you know, during the break, people were gone. And he asked me, and I said, no, I gave my spiel, you know, like, thank you for the opportunity, but I like my team. I like what I'm doing right now. You know, again, attempting to put up those boundaries yet again. That man got so mad. His face got red. I was sitting down. He was standing up, you know, because he was presenting, you know how it is with the U shape. And so I'm sitting on the outside and he's standing over me yelling. He said something else. You should, he said as well, you should be grateful. Yeah. And I remember the spit, like he was like the spit hit in my face.
Oh, disgusting. Apryl. Like the venom. Like, how dare this Black woman? You should be so grateful.
Yep. You should be grateful. I remember he said that he was so angry. Now keep in mind, this is an offsite. I'm a director. I am a director over other directors. They are considered, you know, lead on the leadership team as well. We report to the C-suite. Why is like they're coming in? I'm the only Black woman in the room. I'm one of few women in the room. And you are berating me and screaming and yelling at me. My nose started to bleed. I'd been having really bad migraines and just bloody noses right and left. My nose started to bleed. I remember like getting up and like, again, even as I'm talking about it, like you see me doing these things because it's like,
it's a trauma response.
Yeah. Like
it's trauma memory.
It is ingrained in my mind forever. And I used to attribute, okay, be quiet. I used to attribute, sorry. I used to attribute that to misogyny. I didn't even think about the racism portion because, to be honest with you, I didn't discover what it meant to be like a Black woman at, 40 something years old until 5 years ago, because I'd always had to be a version of Black that was palatable for white people.
So the code switching, the masking, all that stuff.
I blend in the background. I didn't wear it, like my hair was not out. Like it was pulled back in a bun. If I felt sassy on a Friday, it was going to be in a side bun. But I mean, I lived my life truly for other people's expectations, whether it was my family, whether it was what, they say you should do, and based on the expectations that I know that, these white people have for me. They want me to mess up. They're looking for me to mess up.
Absolutely.
So I got to make sure that I'm, on playing offense and defense. That weighs on you, that fight or flight. Anytime someone knocks on my office door, anytime someone says, "Oh, can we talk?" Like, I get not in the pit of my stomach. Because that's a natural reaction. And my body was doing that. My body was, like how I said, that the beep, 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 beep that I have now, it was doing it, but very, it doesn't happen to me very often, but sometimes I integrate my alarm into my dream. So I'm tuning it out and you don't even hear it. You don't wake up. That's how I was. My body giving me all these signals, but because I've been hearing that beep for so long, that my body's saying things, that I ignored.
Your body's basically crying out, right?
Yeah. So basically, I ignored it because I got to be strong.
You did it, right? You're strong. I think a lot of Black women do that. I did that when you were talking, and Apryl, please forgive me because I was resonating with your story so much. I wanted to keep interrupting, so I'm trying to control myself. Right? Oh, it's really hard, but and I appreciate you sharing what you're sharing, because I think a lot of Black women have similar experiences. But again, we don't talk about it. And that's what I want to do with this YouTube channel, is to provide a space for Black women to be able to talk about our common experiences. There's so many patterns. You could be in one field, somebody could be in the other field, same pattern.
Yes.
You talk about not recognizing the signs. For me, my hair was falling out. My blood pressure was going up. I was gaining a lot of weight.
Me too.
Um, Nosebleeds. And April, I had never had a nosebleed in my whole life, right? I started having these really bad, like not only like really bad
Yeah,
nosebleeds.
that don't stop. Like it's
Yes.
pumping, pumping, pumping,
Yes. And
pumping.
you're like,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
happening? It's scary.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so the importance of paying attention to the signs. So as we talk about the experiences and the social programming and the oppression within that environment and how that impacts you, let's talk a little bit more in terms of the signs
Hmm.
to help Black women recognize what the signs of burnout. And I just want to also say, when we think about burnout, so in the field, in mental health field, when we talk about burnout, what happens a lot with burnout is it's really odd because with burnout, instead of like pulling back, like, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, let me rest. With burnout, we work even harder.
Yeah.
Work even harder. Like, let me push through it. Let me push through it, right? So you have that. And then you think about the dynamic as Black women, how we've been told we work hard. Again,
Hmm.
going back into Black women are we the mules of society. Nobody's protecting us. Nobody's coming to save us. And so we feel like we have to just keep doing, doing, doing so that other people value us. And then the part, April, I need for you to elaborate on. Before we go into the signs, I need you to elaborate on this. I need you to elaborate on this. You said on some level you knew you had to go. I think your therapist said something like you had to go, right?
Yeah, she'd been telling me to take off, and I'm like, I can't. Well, what about a couple of days? I can't. She was trying to
My
get me to take
therapist
a
told me the
fast.
same thing.
Yeah.
And it got to the point, April, my therapist, Black woman therapist, it got to the point where she was like, girl, you stay at this job, it's gonna kill you. And I'm not lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's straight up, you gotta go. So the part about staying, a lot of people watching right now are probably dreading this is, and I do this live intentionally at this time because
Yep.
this used to be the time when I was at that toxic job before I resigned. This
Yep.
was the time.
Yep.
It was the worst day of the week for me. I mean, you talk about full out dread. So there
Mm-hmm.
might be some women who are listening to this right now, and she's like, "Oh my God, everything you're saying, I relate to everything you're saying, right?" But there's some but. I want to go, but I want to
Yeah.
go, but. Can you talk a little bit more about the I want to go, but? Like, what are the buts for a lot of Black women that you have heard or that you've even experienced?
Yeah. So I actually used to help clients plan out, like kind of look at their dreams and do things were that I would do and that I wanted to do. So it's ironic that I was going through those things, but I didn't have, I guess it's when we talk about strength, I didn't have like the physical strength or the emotional bandwidth to address that, but I can identify things that,
Uh-huh.
needed to be done.
And
So
other
some of
people,
the,
right? And now
yeah,
within ourselves. Yes.
right. It's easy to instruct someone. You know how people say
Yeah.
it's easier said than done. And I
Yep.
used to be so excited for my clients, like, okay, you're
Yeah.
getting free, you're doing it. But I knew for me that I felt like I could not do this.
Yeah.
But
Well, back up. That's the
mhm,
part. That's the part.
yeah.
Why did you feel like you could not do it?
Well, I have 3 college degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on, let me back it up.
Okay.
So I've always been I call it my default setting was to be adventurous and to be a free thinker and to march to the beat of my own drum,
Yeah.
not do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Over time, that turned into, being shy, which I paid thousands in copays to find out that's social anxiety.
Uh-huh.
But on Sunday nights, like it's almost like you dread Sunday even on Monday. Like, like you dread it every single day of the week and it builds up as you get closer. But this time, exactly Sunday night is when I used to I called it the whooping feeling. Like
What?
if you used to get whoopings, like whippings, but I call them whoopings. I'm from Cleveland, so we call them whoopings. But if like your mother or father said, I'm gonna whoop you when we get home, or I'm gonna whoop you, go and get the belt, or like I grew up, go pick a
Oh,
switch.
going to get the belt. That was the worst.
Yeah.
Oh
So
God.
that knot in your stomach that you get, I would get that when I would think about work. I would get that when I would think about
Oh.
leaving. I would get
Ooh.
that, like I said, that's that instant like knot in my stomach, the whooping feeling, which I later learned was anxiety.
Ah.
I I also, as I mentioned, the weight gain, the blood pressure, the hormones going out of whack. But again, I told myself, look, you know, I motivated myself for the majority of my life since childhood into about my mid-30s by negative self-speak. I was an athlete. I've done,
Oh
you know, I
gosh.
don't know how many marathons, triathlons. I've done,
Wow.
you know, like CrossFit
You're talking
competitions,
about
all these things.
overachiever
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I was an
to the
overachiever.
max.
For sure. And I motivated myself by saying negative things. That was something that I picked up, you know, being raised, having
Yeah.
things said to me negatively in the home, but that's what I carried myself through. And I, you know,
Oh.
I see a therapist off and on
Mhm.
when I have these epiphanies.
Mhm.
And then, you know, it could be a few months, it could be a few years that I see
Mhm.
them, and then, you know, I stop seeing them. And then if it's if I feel some other things coming up, so you know, I call it my path to self-discovery. But during this, there's like stages to it. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
when I first left corporate, I I was just like a complete mess. I was decompressing. What I needed to do, even the first time, what I really needed to do was rest. But I equated rest with like sleeping and being lazy,
Mhm.
or like, you know, again, how I was raised, like
Mhm.
sleeping.
I think many of us were raised.
Yeah, like that's not, you got sleeping time? Oh, okay. You know, there's always something
Let me add more to your
done.
list. You
It's a
got time to
luxury,
sleep? Right.
you know, like it's
Right.
almost like how to be like, you got McDonald's money, you got sleep resting time, like you got
Right.
to sit around. There was always something to be done. So again, these things, how we were raised, that conditioning, as I mentioned, like I said in my last video,
Mhm.
these are things that are a part of our literal everyday life. So by the time we get to corporate, we already, you know, when you're in high school, really, by the time you get to high school, it
Mhm.
is ingrained in you every single day that you're supposed to be doing all these things successfully at the
Yes.
same time.
Yeah.
So it is, by the time we get to corporate, it's nothing. We just, again, the goalpost just keeps moving and we just keep acquiescing. And,
Right.
you know, I had those health problems. I also began not feeling safe. The great part about is bringing in a third party. And I know as Black women and Black people, I was raised before if on the rare occasion we went someplace without our parents, regardless, when we went someplace with them, they lined us up on the couch and they said, and we're going over such and such. Now, don't you be in there talking too much. Don't you be in there telling all our business. What
Business.
happens in this house stays in this house.
Yep.
And that is something, I was not raised with psychotherapy being something good. I was raised that you pray, you know, so anxiety to me
Mhm.
wasn't a thing. You know, what is it? Philippians, be anxious for nothing, you know, raised
Mhm.
in the church hard. So I associated a lot of these things as me being weak, and I just needed to pray more. Me not, you know, God is displeased with me, so I need to do more.
Ooh,
Again, these are things that I was raised hearing.
wow.
So why wouldn't, it's not limited to one thing, and you know
Right.
this. Like it shows up in all sorts of areas of your
Yes.
life, and it
Exactly.
converged in corporate. All of these things being like, you know, controlled and needing to get, feeling
Mhm.
like I need to get permission, and
Mhm.
feeling that I
Ooh.
need to do a job well done and don't question authority. All of these things I picked up along my life, like I said, it converged when I was in corporate. And again, because they were familiar to me, it
Yeah.
felt, I fell into lockstep with them. And to answer your question, did you ask me about 10 minutes ago?
That's okay. I love it. You
About
provided all the context. I love it. I love it. I'm a
yeah.
therapist. I love it. I'm like, bring it on, girl. Yes.
So about that, but the but was I already left the job in 2014. I already moved, you know, my son across the country as a
Mhm.
little boy and went back to college to get yet another degree when I
Mhm.
already had a good job, but I was being you know, I don't want to demonetize anything, but I was being harassed by
Mhm.
males inappropriately.
Wow.
Again, recourse, but I knew, and this is something that I'm aware of many of these things happening.
Mhm.
But it's like it's their word against mine, and I need this
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
I'm a single mom. I was a teen mom. I got pregnant at 16, had my son at 17, went off to college at 18.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I need this job. They're gonna take
Yeah.
their word against mine. So even in that, you just learn to grin and bear it. You and try to get the hell out of that room as quickly as you can. So you know, it was um that you know, and of course I found another job when I left and I was out on leave in 2014. I found another job within a week. It felt so unnatural.
Wow.
It did not work. I felt I started feeling guilty, like I was doing something wrong, like I was sneaking and doing something. And I also felt that way when I left in 2018. I felt like I was doing something wrong, but I knew that I wasn't. Like I live in logic most times, but my body lives in emotion.
Well, the thing is, your body is responding in terms of not only the trauma reactions, responses, but you also talked about the social programming became internalized by you. And it's a lot of what you're talking about are like the remnants of slavery.
Yes.
So how many of us were brought up, in our families in terms of rest and work and all that, and how people see us, and don't be too loud, don't do that, all that kind of stuff, right? And the job environment, like we just talked about, many times it's like a plantation. And the other part you said too, Apryl, and I'm so sorry that was your experience. I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't know about that part of your journey, right? But thinking about how much trauma that we endure as Black women in the workplace. So we deal with the microaggressions, we deal with the pet to threat, we deal with stay in your place, we might deal with other types of harassment, all of the stuff we're holding, right? And we still do our jobs really well. And the part two, Apryl, you said that a lot of times we stay because of that sense of survival. I need this check. I need money. I have a family, or I just need to be able to survive. So I need to stay here. And so when we have that sense of scarcity and fear, that can keep us there. So you talked a lot about anxiety and fear. And I think that's a lot of Black women. I stayed, Apryl, because of the fear of how I was going to make money, right? Even though I got a doctorate, you got all these degrees, right?
We can get a job. One thing we're going to do is get a job now.
Right. So why am I thinking? But I think a lot of us think that. A lot of us who stayed at a toxic job, for me, I stayed there too long because of that fear, right? Yeah. What if what's going to happen? Even though, like you just said, of course you can get a job somewhere else, but that fear is ingrained in us. And many times there's people around us and our family, our friends, and they start projecting all their fears onto us. Girl, you better leave that job. That's a good job. That's good benefits. What you gonna do? Probably you got a son. You can't leave. What about him? Right? All these projected fears. And so that's why it's important, Black women, as you're watching this, and you know in your soul, connected to your soul, take a moment, and you know that job is not for you. You know that job is harming you. We're talking about be mindful of that and start accessing resources to get out. So, later, April's going to talk about resources. I'm going to talk about resources. There are resources for you to get out. And my hope is that you see Apryl and I, two toxic job survivors. You see us doing very well in life, but that we're reaching back and we're trying to help as many Black women as we can. And I hope that you see us and you see that we are healing in progress and that you have options, Black women. Now,
that's the key. I didn't think I had options. That's what I was going to say, that one of the other reasons was I didn't even think about the options. I had my head down, blinders on, again, conditioned to be this person, this high performance person. Again, because I get internal validation. I don't care about the titles. I don't care, as long as you pay me. I don't care what you call me. As long as you pay me. But I don't need that. But a lot of external people. And for me, it's like it becomes too noisy. My own thoughts, listening and pondering and evaluating and, just going over, lamenting over what other people have said. And what's my family going to say? I already left one job, so I had to hurry up and get another one. And I left this job. Even when I became an entrepreneur, the healing didn't happen. Like I became a business owner and I started 3 businesses after I left.
What? You talk about an overachiever. You said 3 businesses?
3 businesses. And then they all had the nerve to be successful.
Wow. Had the nerve, right?
They had the nerve to be successful. Why not? Because I'm bringing all of that with me, that working 60-hour weeks and being available 7 days a week and not taking my vacation. And then you come into, being an entrepreneur where they tell you got to hustle, you got to work hard. So it was natural for me, but I arrived in the same place. I started feeling, there's something else that I feel when things are like tipping. It feels
Mm-hmm.
like somebody is giving me a hug and it's just a tight hug. It's too
Mm-hmm.
tight and I can't get away. I can't like, not like I have trouble breathing, but I'm just saying how I feel. I just feel
Yeah.
like I
You
can't
feel
get out of the
stifled,
hug and I'm being
right?
squeezed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what started happening again
Yeah. Yeah.
in
I'm
my,
gonna share something with you. I'm gonna share something
even
with
being a
you.
business owner. Oh,
Look at
okay. I'm
this.
sorry.
Look,
Yeah.
April is preaching an entire sermon. Girl, you are like on a mission, right? I'm like,
I
I'm vibing with
am.
you. And like the audience is like vibing with you too, right? Because so many of us can relate to what you're talking about. And just the part you said too, and what I love what you said too, April, Black women, I want you to hear this. She talked about that she was able to start working on her own, create for her own, and she did very well. Now, I want Black women to know that because we have been fed the lie also that the only way we can make money is through a job. That is a complete lie. That is a complete lie. I'm out here doing very well. I'm doing much better financially than I ever did at a job.
Yes.
And it's on my own terms. So
Yes.
you do have options and you can replace your income.
Yeah.
Much
Very,
better.
very
You
easy.
can.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm
Because
sorry.
again, you have to figure out how much you really need. I'll give you an
Yes.
I'm a feast or famine. I was a feast or famine with my finances, and I haven't been famine in a long time. When I didn't have money, and I mean like I was living like instead of paycheck to paycheck, like all the paychecks were accounted for. I had more. I call it as Adelia Borshade says, you have more month than money.
Ah.
And I worked hard to not be in that position again. And some things happened, and I ended up in that position when my son was a teenager. But even still, I had retirement that I could borrow from. I had, at the time, I mean, it's more now, but like 40 something thousand in credit card, like availability to spend.
Right.
I had a way to be able to survive until I could get, another good job, which is what I ended up doing. But,
I'm sorry. I gotta pause. Right. Hold that thought though. Okay. I gotta pause. You know why? When you said something, this is something that a lot of us say to ourselves, a good job, right? So I'm going to quote Stephanie Perry, right? A job is not a good job that's killing you. Yeah. And a so-called good job that's killing you that has so-called good health benefits. It's not a good job if you are accessing those health benefits because a job is making you sick. Okay. So we have to be mindful when we say good job. Question, is it really a good job?
No, not at all.
Right.
Why I do this.
Right.
Good job.
Let's not even
because
say
that's
that
how everybody
anymore.
References it. That good
Don't
job.
even say it. It ain't good. It's not good.
No.
Okay.
No, right. It's not good at all. You know, so okay, hold on. You told me to hold that thought and I held it and I sat it down. Now where'd I put it? Okay, what was I talking about?
Girl, we were talking about.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. So my businesses became successful. Why? Because I was just transferring that
your skills
into me being a business owner and starting these businesses. But I began arriving at the same place. I began feeling that hug that was too tight. I began like I'm not a procrastinator, but I will avoid things that cause me stress. Yeah. And typically I have very little. And especially when I left corporate, once I call it my path to self-discovery and working with my clinician. And I started feeling resentful. I started feeling like, I don't want to meet with these clients. So what did I do? I switched things up. Like, okay, maybe I need to shift my business focus to this. I kept doing all these things and I was ending at the same place. Now, and when I say this does not negate what anyone has done to harm you emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. But when I look back at all of these things that are traumatic events in my life, I'll speak specifically about work, these feelings that are lingering from, my occupations. I'm the common denominator. I used to think corporate was a common denominator, right? Because I was always there, but it was corporate. So if I leave, then everything's going to be gone. No, now I'm left by myself. Again, I need to stay busy. And I realized I'm the common denominator. So again, called my clinician up. She said, hey, okay, you can come in. At this point, we were doing telehealth appointments because, it was after the panini cocoa. And I said, that's what I call it.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah, the panini cocoa or the cocoa panini. But yeah, I said, look, same as what I did a couple weeks ago. But I said, I don't want to live like this.
Yeah.
I want to pump the brakes on this. I want to move forward and not, bring these things with me. But that I don't know what I want. So I want to know what I want. I don't know who I am. So I want to work towards finding out who I am. This version.
April, how old were you at that point? I'm curious. If you don't mind sharing, how old were you at that point? Do you mind sharing?
Well, no, I don't mind sharing at all. So I was 40 when stuff started like this. Adelia, she says that 40 is like this number where things are happening. Yeah. So my eyes, like the scales came off my eyes, but the blinders were kind of still. Because again, these thoughts and feelings that I'm having, they are just ludicrous. Stay in this job, do your work, go home. Do your best. You got your weekend to recuperate or whatever. Or spend time with friends, because for me, I isolate myself. I call it my turtle shell. So if I spend time with my friends, then it's technically not, doing anything. But when I went through this, really when I pumped the brakes, that was November of 2021.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I realized, what do I want? What were, again, many of us, not me, let me not say us, many of you all can think about who you were before you got caught up in work, or before you became a parent, or before you became somebody's wife and that became your identity. So you have some type of, you've been an adult and free, even if you were going to school, even if you're doing all the things, you have a point of reference of your dreams. Because I have my son so young, my dreams were like as a child, 14, 15 or whatever. But I had to remember that I always wanted to travel the world. I never wanted, any children. And as a matter of fact, my son was going to go up for adoption, but at the, very last minute, I chose to keep him. Of course, that caused a rift in my family, my mother's reputation, and all types of things. And it strained our relationship, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how to be a parent, but I figured, let me do all the opposite of things that my parents used to do. And I found out my parents did a lot of things right.
Yes.
They did most things right. And they were a product of their environments, which were a product of conditioning. So I don't,
and racism and oppression they experienced as well. Yes.
They raised us the way that they knew how.
Yes.
And they, and my mother told me she died of breast cancer. And I spent time with her, like on her deathbed and when she was incapacitated and limited to the bed. But that mouth could work. She always had a slick mouth and her mouth was working. She would wake up from her little naps and be like, you know what? And just start talking. So it's fine. But we were able to share a lot of moments together. And my mom did that because she wanted us to be strong. That was her intention. It came out as other ways, but my mom's intention was always right. And she did what she knew how to do. So I knew I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to do the opposite of all the things I didn't like. I put a lot of things back into it because my parents were spot on. But I kept, my son, he's 28 now. Yeah, 28. 28. What? Yeah. I know.
28-year-old. Okay, everybody. Does April look like she have a 28-year-old? I can't believe that. I'm like, can you show me a picture? I can't believe that. Fabulous. You look marvelous. Okay.
And I look younger once I started healing myself. Once that cortisol left my system. Once I started freeing myself up from a lot of the baggage. I carried a lot of guilt and shame. That was, not to offend anyone because I still have faith. It's just different for me. I don't just take things at face value. But that came directly from church. And that came directly from, the scriptures and things that were reiterated over and over in the home growing up. So I carried a lot of guilt and shame. And that's why I felt like I was doing something bad. Once I started, again, there is power in talking to someone who is not only specialized in treating, people like me, well, like you, but you are one of those people, but you know what I mean? People like the viewers. I got a little tongue tied with that when I thought about it. It was coming out like, wait a minute. But you have a therapist too, but that are specialized in seeing those things and having someone objective. To me, my lowest point, I have a point of reference for how, like, the worst time that I felt emotionally, the worst time that I felt physically, and that is my bar. And as long as it stays underneath that, you got this. You've been through worse. You're stronger than this. You can do this. So even though it turned from the negative self speak to motivate myself, I would just say, like, remember what you've been through. Like, you can do this, you know, things like that. So it still was unhealthy because I was pushing myself to do these things when my body wanted to be like, no, you know, like if you have a dog and sometimes when they're done, they sit down.
Right.
And you be like, if you don't get up, please, you know,
Yeah.
back to pick you up, depending on how big your
But
dog
they're
is.
connected to themselves, right? They're
Yeah.
connected. Like, no, I'm not feeling this, right? And can I say something, April? Like,
Sure.
what you said about your mom and that connection with your mom was so powerful because, you know, when you think about mother-daughter relationships, very complicated, very complicated. And you were able to, excuse me, my voice is like whatever. But anyway, my allergies are really bad today. So forgive me, my voice sounds crazy. I'm sorry.
You're
But,
good.
you know, with mother-daughter, you were able to connect to her and repair a relationship. And you were able to connect to her in terms of her own humanity. Because as parents, you know, we're like providing, we're doing this, we're doing that, right? And many times our kids don't really know us
Yeah.
as
They know us in
women.
the mother.
Yeah, there's as mother, right?
Yeah.
And so you were able to have that connection with her. And that sounds like that was a very powerful healing experience.
It
And I'm
was.
so glad you had that.
It was. And thank you. And I am forever grateful to the opportunity. But let me tell you why I was able to have that.
Uh-huh.
Because I forgave my mother years before my mother ever asked me to forgive her.
Wow. On your
I
own.
did that because I knew that I can't continue to carry baggage like this.
Yeah.
At the time I was getting ready to get married. I did get married, but you know, I was getting ready to get married. And I knew that I didn't want to carry my family baggage into my, you know, relationship. My mother was very controlling. Again, she meant well, but she was very, very controlling.
And wounded, right?
Like I
Sometimes we
was,
don't know our parents are wounded too.
yeah, they are. And again, it's fear-based. You know, my
Yeah.
mother experienced a lot of those things.
Yeah.
My mother went through life looking like a white woman. So she heard all of the things
Right.
that they would say because they never knew. And she would bring them back to us, you know, and tell us. You know, just I worked with, again, I've always been I'm a very strategic person by nature. The way that my mind works is, here is, you know, like an issue or a goal or an outcome. How do I get there? And I plan it. And you start at the smallest step and you know, move on.
Yeah.
And it needs to, you know, it needs to be a way that works for me. And so I knew, because I started going to therapy after my, you know, I would say maybe early 20s. I was done with college, but early 20s. And I was diagnosed with OCD at 11. So I'd been, you know, I was completely comfortable seeing clinicians, but I started going because I was carrying a lot of those things with me. Although I maybe wasn't physically abusive to my son, I was verbally abusive. Although it wasn't as bad as it was for me, I was still doing it. And I knew that
those unresolved wounds comes out.
And I did not want to continue that cycle with my son. He didn't ask to be here. He didn't deserve that. And so I worked on me. And part of that, again, is incremental. All of these journeys that we go through, they're incremental.
Absolutely.
So I worked on being a good parent, having communication. You know, my mother used to tell me, you talk too much to that boy. Well, I was raised, we didn't even ask my mother anything because we already knew she was going to say no. You know what I mean? And if we asked my dad would be like, well, what'd your mama say? And we're like,
oh, God.
So we didn't ask for things, but if we did, she would say no. And that's it. No explanation. Like, I treated my son has still feelings, you know, he's a person, he's a little person. I lead and I guide him, but he still has feelings. So I would explain things to him. It's not this long drawn out. I would explain it to him. He's old enough to know, to understand. I would say it in his turn, you know, age appropriate terms. And I say, you know, you mad at mama? Yes. I say, okay. So I'm gonna go cook dinner and I'll let you know when it's time for dinner. Okay. You know, like, he didn't stay mad, but I made sure that we communicated. And, you know, I forgave my mother before. Again, times in my life, I recognized that I want to change things. I'm ready to move on. That's something that, as I was starting to say, I've done recently with my clinician. About 2 weeks ago, I realized I don't want to have to justify why I do something. I want to do it because I want to. And I want to become comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with saying no. I'm comfortable with other people. I got that down.
Yeah.
But me, just like I was
What do I
offended
want
for
from
everyone
me?
else.
I just put that on the screen. That's what you said. What do I want from me? And that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you how old you were at that point, because I think a lot of us, a lot of Black women 40 and over, we have been doing things for other people or in survival mode or whatever. And I think when you said the panini,
Yeah, the
whatever,
panini
the panini, right? I think that for a lot of us, we've said, wait a minute, is this what my life is? Because this is not what I want for myself. Like there has to be something better. I didn't work this hard to be at this toxic job,
Yeah.
to have my life look like this. Like, and we didn't talk that much about it, Apryl, but for me, when I was at that toxic job, all the stuff I was dealing with, it spilled over to my personal life,
Yeah,
right?
of course. You talk about work all the time. Like every
All
conversation is
the
about work.
time. Everybody in my family know about these people. And I was like, I don't want these people in my home. And you know what I did? What I did, Apryl, was it got to a certain point, and I think I decided to do this on my own because I was like, I don't want these people in my home. Like
Yeah.
my home is my sanctuary space.
Right.
So what
Right.
I would do was, and this is before the situation in the world going on, right? When I would get to my door, I would say, if I was talking to somebody on the phone, when I got to the house, my door, I would say, we cannot talk about this anymore. I'm about to go into my house. Those people are not invited in my home. This is a sanctuary space. I do not talk about those people in my home, right? Now, when the thing happened, it was kind of difficult because, we weren't outside. But
Right.
my tip for you Black women, as you're watching this, that you make your home a sanctuary space. Do not bring those toxic people in your house. Do not talk about people in your house. And I did like a purge of my cell phone. So once I went on leave of absence, and then once I finally resigned from the job, I purged from my phone any people who were not there to support me. I did a video about this. So those who saw you in the workplace, they saw what was happening to you, and they were nowhere to be found. They were not there to support you. Purge. I can't connect to you. I cannot connect to you. And now they're trying to
Come
contact
back
me now,
around.
April. Like, no, we're not going to
Yeah.
talk.
No, you're not my friend. We
You're
have
not
these
my
people that we
friend.
think are our friends, but they're our work friends because we spend more of our waking hours doing work than
Right.
we do with our family.
Yes.
Or like you get away from work, but all you guys can talk about is work because that is your commonality.
Yes.
Or like how you said, the people that didn't support, or in my case, they would be like, listen, that was so wrong. And I would have said something, but like,
oh, what about this one? What about this, April? I did a video about this. Oh, okay. The people who come to you and say, oh, I just want to tell you what they were saying about you. I just wanted you to know. I just wanted you to know. And ladies, if this has happened to you, look at those people side eye. Because first of all, why are you telling me this? And you can't tell me who said that.
Right. Well, I don't want to be involved.
Right. And why are they sending stuff around you? And why are you telling me this?
Right. It's hurtful. And they're saying it because they've said it. They're comfortable saying that around them. And if they're not involved in these conversations, they don't speak up. They don't say anything.
No.
I speak up for myself.
Yes.
And I speak up for other people. I've always spoken up for other people, but I've even like nailed it down even more. When people say it's only such and such dollars, why are you in somebody's pocket? Like that's something that you have the privilege to say. And I mean, this is everybody.
Yeah.
I reframe my own language because it's just X amount to me. But lest I not forget when that $30, hell, when $3 would have interfered with the ability for me to have a roof over my head and feed my child. It was that precarious at some point. So even though I'm from that, I reconnected with I call it Lil Apryl, but I reconnected with that child in me. I reconnected with the one who stood up for themselves and didn't care about what anybody said. I did my own thing. I dressed how I wanted to dress. I, sat in the back. I was hiding in the cut because, like adolescence and things, like people can tease and stuff like that. But I learned how to master blending in at home. So I mastered it at school. I mastered it in real life, going unnoticed. Some of the other things that I did were establish these boundaries.
Yeah.
Like I have boundaries with other people. I have non-negotiables before, and I'm the one who has to respect it. Just like my therapist told me, what if a friend told you this stuff? What would you say? Tell me what you would say. And I was like, oh my goodness. I would say, listen, you are smart. Oh, that sounds like the thing from
the help. You about to do the
yeah. You smart. but I would encourage them. You know what I mean? Like, don't insult yourself. Don't think these things about yourself. Don't let these people get to you. Don't bring that stuff home with you. Don't let these people win, And I would
find a way out, because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Yes, right? I would encourage them through that. And she said a couple things that stunned me. And I like when I get gobsmacked, when I have to think about something. I like to be, thought-provoking things. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, well, let me tell you, I asked you that intentionally because that's what I hear you say. So what about you being a friend to yourself?
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not a friend to myself. Just like when my therapist told me years and years ago, like, well, you say these things and you're such a loving person, but you don't love yourself. Again, gobsmacked. So I work to be like, what does that look like loving myself for me? Yeah. What does it look like to be a friend to myself? And, the people, you have to take audit of the people you have in your life, like how you said you purge. But I realized, like, dang, these people have benefit of Apryl, but Apryl doesn't have an Apryl. That's a problem. I sought community. And again, I was looking to leave before the next election. And, we all know what happened.
Yes.
In January, okay?
Yes.
What happened. I'm like, that is what I need to know. I got to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I started planning to do that. Where do I want to go? I have friends who live all over the world. I figured I would buy a house someplace else. I was talking about my state. I rent this house out. I'm out of here. I'll buy a tiny house or something. I'll visit my friends and family around the world. And then I'll figure out where I want to land. Then I started looking, where do I want to land? And that's how I got, I saw Roshida's, what was it, MSNBC, I think, little feature. And then that led me to, the algorithm does what it does and led me to study. But I was craving Black women community. Unfortunately, I don't have very good, historically have good experiences with other Black women. I was raised, my older sister and I literally integrated our school system. And this was in the, like 84, I believe, 83. Oh, gosh. I was in second grade. She was in third grade. We integrated our school system. We were raised.
Talk about some trauma.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Blending in. I gotta blend in. Don't make waves. Don't stand out. But something else that I did was I was not competition to white girls. I was not there. They didn't feel intimidated by me because they thought they were better than me.
Right.
But when you go to church or do certain events or do things, Black women thought or Black, girls thought they were better to me. They thought I was their competition. And they picked with me. They talked about I've always had very long hair. I mean, it used to be much, much longer than this, but terms I never heard before. They said, your hair is nappy. And I said to my mom, like, I knew they were saying something that was mean. I was like, what do they mean my hair is nappy? My mother burst out laughing. She said, your hair is not nappy. Ignore them, just certain things. Why do you speak that way? Yeah. Why do you wear them white?
Just the internalized racism.
Yes. Right? Why do you dress white? Why do you talk white? So I learned that unfortunately and it's a type because I'm old enough to know and I'm self-aware enough to know that it's the type of people of Black women, of Black girls that were saying those things. Because there are plenty of Black women out there that I've had in my life and still do. Before I discovered Exodus Summit, but I was craving more of that. Again, they don't live near me. They live either out of the country or way across, the country. And I was craving community with Black women. I'd already decided I was going somewhere. And again,
and the community came to you.
Yeah. And by us not talking about these things, something for me is I felt all alone. No one in my world was doing what I did. No one in my world left, them good jobs. Not only one good job, but two good jobs.
Right.
No one in my world was leaving and packing up things and to travel the world. Like, no, you go on a vacation and that's it.
Right.
So I didn't have anyone. I was all alone, minus my therapist, but I didn't have any Black women who understood what I was going through. That's why as you mentioned, it is so, so important to me. My YouTube channel, I make videos. As I mentioned, I struggled recently with a bout of perfectionism. But again, beep, 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 like I was coming up too close to my boundaries and I snapped out of it.
Yeah.
And because I really want people to know that they are not alone. Black women need to hear it. And the more people that are talking about these things, encouraging, letting people know that they have options, you're going to eventually find somebody. I'm not for everybody. You're not. But we're out here, and there's plenty of out here who are saying you have options, and look at me. Again,
and to not stay silent, right? To not stay silent about what's happening to us. Like you talked about, recognize the signs, get therapy, right? Because therapy provides an opportunity to reality test with someone who's objective and someone who can call you out, right?
Yes.
And in a way that's constructive. And so you need that. And the other part that I really appreciate what you said, Apryl, is that, and I'm so glad you called this out, because so many Black women have reached out to me, Apryl, and said, what happened to me was another Black woman. Like she was the one terrorizing me. It was another Black woman who was the bully. It was another Black. I hear that so much, right?
Yeah, all skin folk.
All skin folk and kinfolk, right? So I have a number of my videos. I have a number of videos on my channel that talks about this, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So when we think about all skin folk and kinfolk, Apryl was talking about some examples of that in terms of what that might look like as we were growing up. And it might look a little different in the workplace, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And even if we recognize, and I've recognized this for myself too, Apryl, that a lot of times how we were brought up and family dynamics and unresolved issues, it will play out in the workplace.
Yes.
So in terms of kind of taking stuff, because we've been used to that kind of dynamic, right? Yeah. So that's why therapy is so important. And when you think about the interactions with other Black women, that again, it's an attempt to divide and conquer, right? Because when you think about how Black girls have been brought up, we've been brought up to see each other as competition. And some people who are insecure will take that on and they'll believe that and they'll start interacting like that. And so we know that they're hurting and they're deeply insecure. And that's why they're trying to put you down so they can feel better. We know that, okay? Yeah. But the other thing is that what I appreciate about you, Apryl, is that you're able to acknowledge it, but you're not jaded. A lot of Black women are jaded because they've had these experiences and they'll say, that's why I can't trust Black women. I'm like, what? All Black women? Like, okay, you may have had some negative experiences, just like I have. Yeah. I've had negatives in the workplace, Black women, but it's nowhere in the world I would ever say, that's why I don't trust Black women.
Yeah, no.
I would not say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unhealthy. Again, like, I was having this conversation. I met a group of wonderful ladies in Exodus Summit, and the group was just too loud for us. So we branched off on our own. We started as 8. We're now 6. We meet every single Wednesday. We usually take 1 week or so off a year. Wow. We just celebrated our year anniversary, but yeah, we meet every single Wednesday and we talk.
That's sisterhood.
Yeah. And as, one of them said, like, look, you have to be able to let those things go. Yeah. Like and I have a little saying, like, you can't heal until you feel. Like, you have to get in touch with your feelings. You have to acknowledge those women. If I crawl into my turtle shells, I call it, and start retreating, I can expect a phone call. I can expect, to see in our Discord, like, anybody heard from Apryl? Like, what's going on?
I love it.
And we have yet to meet in person. Our next reunion, or when we have in 2024, in October 2024, we are going to meet in person somewhere, because we're all over the country, or all over the world at this point. There's some of us at the stateside, 2 already in Mexico. But again, this journey, whatever it is that you want to do, it has to be done at your pace, and it has to be done like incrementally. Don't, you have to release some of that baggage. The more baggage that you release, the more healed you become, because those people are not thinking about you. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm telling them, we were talking about something because we all have experiences with toxic jobs. Some of us, not me, but, we have a couple people that are actually on med leave right now from their job. And, I said, look, something, we're sitting around having this conversation right now. How many years ago did we leave that job? How many years ago is what we're talking about happened? They don't even remember us.
What?
But yet we're still sitting
we're
here.
Still wounded.
We're holding it. Like, you have to work towards, and whatever that looks like for you, because again, humans are nuanced and we're unique, and we all have individual, permutations and combinations of what makes up our emotions. But that is something that I encourage you all to do. It's now. This is not, see it for what it is. These people, I call them, you say all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I call them Stevens. If you've ever seen Django Unchained, they're Stevens, right?
Or Stephanie. No, not Stephanie. Not the Stephanie that we love, but there's other people who are like Stevens, right? Who are women. We won't say Stephanie's, but somebody said that before. But I'm like, no, we're not gonna put that out there because
we can call them Susans. There's Stevens and Susans, and no offense to anyone named Susan.
Yeah.
But those are the ones who are, like, again, when we use the plantation analogy, they are running up under massa. They are the ones who would snitch you out to get. You would think like we're all slaves here, but they think they're better because they're in the house, or they think they're better
slaves, right? But guess what? The house is on fire. So you run into the burning house. You trying to stay in the burning house, but guess what? That's what, ladies. We get out the burning house. We don't want to be in that burning house. And we notice, when you notice Black people who are treating you like that, who are all skin folk and kinfolk, have some boundaries.
Yeah.
Do not share information with them. They will throw you under the bus. The thing is this, what's so disturbing about it is that they actually think that by throwing you under the bus, that they're going to be saved, or the things that could happen, it's going to come back to them.
Yeah. Eventually it's going to come around to them.
The system is toxic. It's going to come back to them, right? Yeah. So Apryl, as we're winding down, because I want to read the chat too. Did you see this too? Look.
No, I'm
incredible. Look at this. Apryl has an incredible inner core to be still so sweet and open to Black women. Many would have keloids throughout their hearts. Ooh, that is profound.
Oh my goodness.
That is profound. The chat is pouring into you, Apryl. Okay.
That is. Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Marinate on
that. When I talk about joy, I spent more than enough of my lifetime feeling angry, feeling like I had no power, feeling like I had no voice.
Yes.
Like just surviving.
Yeah.
And that is, I made a promise to God, like, God, if you spare my mind, because I was at the point where I felt like I was going to lose my mind. And I'm not being hyperbolic. When I left because I fled, running fast to.
You're trying to save your life.
Save myself.
Yeah, save your soul.
Really, I went through it in 2014, and that bone was broken, and it healed. But now it's the pressure's on it's being broken again. The bone is never the same. The structure is not the same. The strength is not the same. And I said, God, look, if you spare my mind, please, like, send somebody to help me. If you spare my mind, I'm going to make sure that I continue to just joy. Everything is going to be because I want joy. Stephanie Perry calls it ease. For me, it's joy. I'm naturally a happy person. And so many people throughout my lifetime have done everything they can to grind that and snuff it out of me. But that is my gift from God. I'm a happy person. It's funny because I would pull my hair back, and like, even when I wasn't at work, because I would say I have friendly hair, I have happy hair. People want to talk to me, and that I made my peace with the fact that people have been attracted to me my whole life. People love to tell me their business, their stories. And I, even as a child, sitting, waiting for my mother to get something at the JCPenney's counter that she ordered off the catalog. And you sit here and you don't move. Adults sit next to me and strangers talk to me.
They can feel your spirit, your soul.
Yeah, I've made my peace with that. I am someone who has been fiercely private to protect myself. My YouTube channel was over a year in coming. And, again, sometimes, honestly, I struggle with saying these things. Did I say too much? Should I not have said that? But again, logic. No, someone needs to hear this. You are telling your, not only what happened to you, but what you did to get out of it, to hopefully spark something, to provoke a thought in somebody else.
Can I
and
say something,
start that
Apryl?
fire.
I think you've done more than spark that fire. I think that you are, I think that you are saving people. I think that you're saving people. And I think this is your testimony. And I think that you are a rare soul, that you are open enough to share what you've gone through. And that is saving people, right? So I want to share something that Mercer Price said. She said, "This interview has been amazing. Thank you, Apryl, for sharing so openly." Okay. So the audience is loving you because they can feel your authenticity. They can feel it, right? And so by you talking about what you've gone through with burnout, girl, we pouring into you. We pouring into you. Okay. We pouring into you.
I know when I go through these things, it is not for me. That's something that helped me hang on.
Yeah.
Is because enough things that have happened in my life that because I went through something, there is a divine time when I can share my experience with someone else and help pour into them. And, even though, like I said, I dealt that perfectionism tried to jump up on your girl again, I knew that I had to keep, and it showed up in YouTube. I was just like looking at things, pull it up on my big TV. Should I be doing this? What are people going to see? And I'm like, stop it. That is not, that has no place here. That's that old stuff trying to come in because it's looking for any way to come in. And I didn't beat myself up. Like I said, I spent a lot of the beginning of my path of self-discovery, I would say like the first year and a half, really just dealing with those feelings of guilt and shame and like I disappointed people, like I was weak, I should have been stronger. So I know how I felt. I know that anytime I talk to someone, it's like, am I in your head? Am I living your life? And it makes me like very happy that the things that I've gone through can help someone else. And then that person is going to continue to carry that torch, because once they start to get free from things, then it's going to be conversations that they have with the people in their lives. Like I tell young women, anytime I meet young women, my nieces, all of them, I'm like, look, like Stephanie Perry says, these jobs ain't loyal. Like it's tougher to do at my age, I'm closer to 50 than anything. Like at my age, it can be done. It doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you wake up the next day, that is one day that you have to make this day, to go into it, at least attempting to make it better than the day before. Absolutely. And I tell young women, especially, and I've always told young mothers, like, or even mothers, period, regardless of the age, but make sure you do stuff for yourself, because I recognize that I shifted from somebody's mama to work. I became addicted to work. I didn't know who I was. I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable. So I just started working. I was not always this way. I was not always a workaholic. And I am, thank goodness I'm done and over with that, with being a workaholic. And that is no longer an issue in my life, but it came from different life events. And I just worked. I worked when I was sad. I worked when I was happy. I worked when I was bored. I worked. Like work was my coping mechanism. So I'm just, to everyone, thank you so much. And I really encourage you, even if this doesn't apply to you necessarily, please share this video with other Black women. Allow young women, even if you have girls, allow them to hear this, because the earlier this starts, the freer they will be, and they will not perpetuate the cycle. My son did not perpetuate the cycle. I made sure he didn't need to get my approval for things. You can seek my counsel, you can ask my opinion, but he doesn't need my approval.
So you're breaking the generational transition.
I had to address in my bloodline. I can't control, the rest of my parents' bloodline, but in mine, I wasn't going to do that. And it's never too late to, even if you are a parent who is doing some of these things that maybe your parents do. I asked my son I apologize to him, and I ask him for forgiveness anytime I have an epiphany. Usually it comes when I'm thinking about working on something with myself, and I say, where did this come from? Came from my mom, came from my dad. And then I may have passed this on. And I'm thinking about an instance where I did something. And like I said, my son's almost 30 years old. I apologized to him. I asked him to forgive me.
That's
And he's
powerful.
like, look, you were a kid. And I'm like, but I have to say this to you, that's fine.
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
But
I
yeah,
think the
like,
pairing relationship is so
yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And I want to read some more to you. I want to read some more. I'm pouring
Oh
some more
God.
to you.
Okay, let me hold
Get
it together.
ready. Get ready, Apryl. Okay.
All right.
Okay. This is Dee from H&D
Oh,
Abroad. So
hey,
everyone, if you don't
Dee.
know Dee and Herman, you need to subscribe to their channel as well, H&D
Yes.
Abroad.
Yes.
Hello, sisters. Thank you, Apryl, for being so being transparent about your journey to healing. It gives me hope for my situation.
Oh, yes, Dee.
So you are leading by example, right? And then thank you, Dee. Look at this. Apryl's energy resonates from the heart chakra of love.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but I love it.
So first of all, you're connected to yourself, right? And you're connected to self-love. Before you were just doing and you were responding to people, but you're grounded in yourself and you're speaking your truth, right?
Yes.
And by speaking your truth, like you said before, you are helping to heal other people, right? Another person said, your voice and story is helping me so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, look at this from my dear friend Colette Elizabeth, my sister friend Harriet. Big hugs from a fellow sister toxic job survivor in Cali. Know that your tears now serve as tissue for others. That's so poetic.
Oh my God, your audience is so poetic.
Aren't they beautiful? I love them. I love
They
them.
are. They
Right?
are.
And this is the power of sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that you are able to feel the love here, and that Black women, as you come into this space, my hope is that I'm creating a space for you to be able to be vulnerable, to get support, and know that you can get out, okay? Because these jobs will try to kill us, and they'll try to rob our joy. And we're like, nope, we're taking our power back. So, Apryl, I know we're over, but it's okay because we're vibing. No, it's good. I'm glad. Okay. So, I just want to ask you a few more things, and I want to read the chat to you. I want to read the chat to you, okay?
Okay.
Yes. So get ready. Okay.
All right.
So, if there's a Black woman watching this right now, and she is absolutely dreading going to work tomorrow. I remember, I think Dee said last week when I did the 3,000 subscriber celebration last week, I think she said that Sundays are her trigger night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's triggered about going back to work. If you, Black woman, if you're watching this and you're having a trigger night for tomorrow, or you're just dreading going to work tomorrow, Apryl, what would you say to her if she is resonating with what you said? She's experiencing the burnout, all the signs you talked about, right? What would you say to her? What words of wisdom can you offer her?
Well, the first thing that I would tell her is she is not alone. There are people who are, ringing the alarm. There's people that you can talk to. Speaking of job with benefits, there's EAP program, the Employee Assistance Program. Call them and see if they offer like counseling sessions. Start there. You can hit up Therapy for Black Girls.
Yes.
That's where I found my latest therapist. Hit up Therapy for Black Girls and look for a Black woman or a Black, whatever resonates. Some people feel more comfortable talking to male therapists. You can set your filters. Another thing is I would tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. You did nothing wrong. Yeah. You are a giving person and you have been exploited. Like your gifts are being exploited.
Yes.
And really just to be encouraged. There's lots of videos that you can watch that talk about these things. As you mentioned, H&D Abroad, I was on their channel sharing my story. There's, of course, Stephanie Perry. There's Rashida Dow. There's, Tracy Collins just moved to Mexico. There's Adelia Borshade, who will help
Alicia Renese.
Your finances. There's Malika, the money coach, who will really get you into investing. Alicia Renese, who will motivate you every day. As a matter of fact, let me set that to the first. Go and watch her videos because she truly speaks life into people.
Yes,
so that's one thing. Start to speak life into this. There's something that's sparked and you want to fan those flames. So don't allow these negative things to come into your space. If you need to listen to some lo-fi, or some praise and worship music or some funk music, like whatever you need, allow things to surround you. And again, watch her YouTube videos. She makes music. She just speaks life.
Yes.
Even her
Yes.
music speaks life into things.
Yes.
So that's what I would encourage you to do.
Yes.
And, do those things first, and then things will start to clear up a little. You'll have a little bit of room to breathe,
Yeah.
and to be able to hear a little bit more clearly.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was beautiful. And so in addition to all those powerful Black women, check out Colette Elizabeth, which she talks about Black women healing from top to drop and Black women healing in general. So does Marissa Price. We'll see they're both here now. So Colette Elizabeth, Marissa Price, subscribe to their channels. As she said, H&D Abroad. There's so many of us. We're out here. We're out here in these streets, in these YouTube streets. Yeah. We're talking about healing. I have April's YouTube channel right here on the screen. Okay. So subscribe to her channel right now. Okay. Subscribe to her channel, turn notification, check it out, support her.
Thank you. I got some juicy videos. If you enjoyed this, you can watch my interview with, or my conversation with D of H&D Abroad. And you can also, my videos are like this, except it's me talking to you versus me talking to you, Dr. Kamani.
Yes. And also from Lack to Legacy, right? In terms
oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Sandra. Yes.
I love watching her. Again, see people that are on the other side of this thing. As you mentioned, I'm a living testimony. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you that there's like some quick fix. I'm not going to tell you that this is like a one and done. Things will never come up. I told you perfectionism, which I dealt with, for over 40 years, and that I have not dealt with in several years, popped up on me over the summer. But again, when you have the tools, when you have a community, when you are surrounded by people and things that build you up, it's wash, rinse, repeat. You've already done this in one area, so now you can do it in another. That's why you hear me talking about, with my clinician, now I want to work on this because it's a natural evolution. And don't be hard on yourself. Now is not the time to be an overachiever. There is no, what do they call it? Trauma Olympics or anything like that. You will not win you're not going to win a prize, and you're doing a service, to yourself.
And to whom, right? So we're killing ourselves to benefit whom?
Us. Right? Yeah. And it feels foreign. It feels weird. It still feels weird to this day. As I mentioned, I'm working on moving from having to justify, and not justify in that sense, but I can rationalize it. It's like, oh, well, this is clear. This is an easy decision.
Well, you're deprogramming yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're deprogramming, and society is going to continue to try to make us, to mold us, to beat us down as a submission. And so we're like, nope, we're going to grab the whip, right? We're grabbing the whip. Like, you ain't doing that. Right? We ain't doing this. No, we're not doing this anymore. And just to know that there's so many options available to us. So my hope, Black women, is as you listen to Apryl, you hear her testimony, that you might resonate with a lot of what she just said. A lot, okay? Now, Apryl, before I'm going to pour completely into you, I just a little bit. I just important. It's going to be like we're just showering you, right?
Okay, hold on. Let me get my little napkin.
Okay, before we shower you, okay. So, can you share with the audience, in addition to your YouTube channel, what services do you offer, and how people contact you besides YouTube channel?
Thank you. I feel really led, and it's on my heart to do a planning session. And this is essentially replicating what I did when I realized I didn't have any dreams. And I'm actually adding more dreams, even more for my 2024. So this is something that I started doing in 2021.
Okay.
And I want to offer the opportunity for Black women to come to a planning session. I gave you the link to the wait list. So Dr. Kamani will put the link in the wait list.
It's in the description section too, ladies. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, that's fine. And what this is we are going to discover and rediscover some of our dreams for those who have some things that, they wanted to do. And it's going to be centered on us and us only. This is maybe tangentially going to help some other people, because you're not going to be talking about work all the time and maybe like stressed and grumpy. But this is for you. This is really the start of getting, what are your dreams?
Yes.
That benefit you and only you. Let's start getting in the habit of doing things for ourselves. Then we're going to plan some, make those dreams into actual goals. Like, what do the goals look like? And then we'll break that down. And again, this is what I do. This is what I've done for years, even before all of this, which is why once you apply it and learn it, you can do it, wash, rinse, repeat. And then the next thing is to make a roadmap, a unique roadmap. Like, this is all specialized. Like, I'll be doing it as well. I'll walk you through it, but it is done by you for you. So that
Okay,
is
so look, everybody, it's on the screen. It will also be in the description section. So so people just click there?
Yeah, this is a wait list. You just put your first name, put your email. I'm not going to spam you. I have nothing else set up at this point, so you don't have to worry about it.
And I don't care if you did, girl. I think they want to hear from you.
Yeah, and we'll get together and we'll plan. Because it's called it's a working title, but I think it's Designing Your Dreams. Because if you think about it, when you have, just say, a house or something, you what is it that you want? So you design it first, and then you make the plans, and then the plans have to go in incremental order. And this is really designed for people who potentially don't know what they want. They don't know who they are. It's also designed for people who are like tired of, sick and tired of being sick and tired, but also they don't even know where to start.
That's my girl. That's my girlfriend, Lou Hamer, girl. Yes.
Yeah. This is also for Black women who they try to set these goals and they don't reach the mark. And that's usually because you're using somebody else's blueprint to fit it for you. What we'll be doing in the planning session is you build your own blueprints. You build your own roadmap. That's again, it is unique to and for you. And it's going to provoke some thought. And again, these are things that are going to benefit you. These are things, and some of this stuff is self-work that your clinician will give you anyway, because they help you with some things, but there's also exercises that you can do on your own. If you see my self-awareness, this came from me doing annual planning, and I revisit them every quarter. What are my goals and what have I done? And it will motivate you because, some people journal. I look back at my old trackers and my old goals because I can read from what I have on the list is where I was at that time. And when you look back, you start to check some things off your list, you feel encouraged. Everybody wants a win. Like, at minimum, you can do something that day that you've designed. And I'm going to teach people how to do this again, incrementally. What is the bare minimum you can do to start this goal? And then we'll work our way up. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. So it's going to be at the beginning of January. Again, there's a wait list because I have to build out the website and conduct my things. But
but it's just you the special sauce. Yeah. They don't care about the website. They don't care about the website. They just want to be with you. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna make a video. Subscribe to my channel. I'll make a video.
Yes. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the website. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You ready?
Okay. April? Let's go.
Okay. So great information. Continue blessing. Yes. Please like this video to let YouTube know to suggest this video with other Black women. Okay. Let's see. Yes to bringing back joy. I've had several toxic jobs. One of my favorite books. I'm so glad to be here. So glad that you are here. I adore Alicia. Alicia Renice is dope. Okay, you need to check her out, right? Yeah. So we put Alicia Renice's channel up before. So check out Alicia Renice. I want to make sure we have April's information staying up here, okay? So relatable, what you're talking about. I just quoted you in terms of pitfalls of perfection.
Yes.
Okay. Automagical, as a Black autistic femme in the workforce, the dehumanization of my skills, yet still told I'm too emotional while doing it. Yes. It's a mess. It's a mess. They were really trying to mess us up. They would try to, okay, I'm not going there. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, well, hold on before you move on. That's why before I would have never cried. I let the tears flow. And at one point I would have cried and I would apologize. I no longer apologize for having emotion. We have been told as Black women, and again, consistently reinforced at home, at church, in the media, at work, that our emotions, if we show emotion, that's weakness. Yeah. And I have to learn that. So my tears are God-given human emotions. And I'm going to express all of them. And if it does make me too loud, if I get too excited and I wave my hands a bunch, like, that's okay. It's all right. Again, you have to feel before you can heal.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Exactly. Okay. I'm sorry.
And you can't heal if you don't reveal anything, right? And the other part too is it connects to our humanity. So even though they try to treat us like we are the workhorses, when we
we're not.
connect our humanity, then the other thing is that when we connect our own humanity, now we're more attuned to the signs, the burnout signs, those bells, those things your body's like, oh my God, I hate it here, like all those kind of things. Then we're connecting to that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Why are questions considered taboo in many workplaces? I thought asking question was meant to increase learning, thus increase productivity. See, that's the lie. Okay, let me tell you this. That's a lie they play on us. I did this, right? So I would go trying to get clarity from people, but we're trying to get clarity from people who are liars, number one. And Alicia Renice in that video, when she talked about it's not imposter syndrome, it's impression. When you are at these jobs and they get in your head, they start making you think that you need to ask more questions, you need to be more active, you need to be more productive. All those other things, that's a lie. That's their way to try to control you. So you're the external, you look for the external validation activity. And I need to ask you, ladies, anyone watching this, if people are doing this to you and they're trying to make you think there's something wrong with you and that you're the imposter, I need you to pause and I want you to reflect on who are the real imposters here. It's them. It's them. They are deeply insecure people. Okay. Now I've done some videos about that in relation to Alicia Bernice's. Check it out. And I need to also shout out the anti-HR lady, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get your severance when you leave these dang jobs, right?
Yeah. Leave money on
about that.
You know what? Really quick, let me add a point to that.
Yes.
Asking questions, you have to, and it's sad to say this, but it's almost like when you interact with, how they say, like, anything you say can and will be used against you.
Oh,
ask too many questions, then they have the opportunity to say, well, I don't know now. She was asking, does she really know her job? Does she really whatever? Again, it'll be used against you.
Absolutely.
There is a dance that occurs. As you mentioned, you got to be smart, but not too smart. You got to, be assertive, but not to the point of being aggressive. Sometimes you have to let things slide because it's going to bruise somebody else's ego. Also, you got to ask questions, but not too many questions. And again, not asking those too many questions means I'm going to have to research it and figure it out on my own. It's done to, as you mentioned, control. And it also is extremely isolating. If you get, I say, you call it pet threat, which I think I heard that on your channel. And I'm like, oh my God, I call it getting kicked out the cool kids club. The cool kids that kick you out their group. You can't sit with us at lunch. It's like that. But that's actually retaliation. There's a legal term for that.
Yeah.
It's retaliation. It's, creating a hostile work environment.
Yeah.
It is discrimination. But anything that you give them an opportunity to use against you, again, you have to be playing offense and defense.
It's discernment. You need to use
unsustainable.
It's not. And also I want to say this too. When they do that to us, we have to be mindful that, number one, it's just a sign that you don't need to be there. More than likely it is, right? The other thing, I'm gonna quote my mother, don't go for the okie doke. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can feel it in your spirit, like, what? Wait a minute. So does it not make sense? When you start trying to make logical sense of something that's not logical, that is a sign. Don't go for the okie doke.
Yeah.
That's a sign. There's something wrong there. Don't start going on these rabbit holes, okay? Okay.
And turn inward on yourself. It's not you, it's them. It really is
them. They're the real imposters. They really are. Okay. So Marissa confirmed that was a quote that I said from her. It's correctly.
Okay.
Yes, you can't outwork oppression. That was a mic drop right there. You cannot outwork oppression. Okay. Yes, Jesus, proving one's worth like kerosene on the fire. Ooh, yes, and never again will I try to meet that perfect standard. Yes. And offering support in the chat to one another. My mother said, work don't die, so you can't outwork oppression. That's so true. I have had to forgive myself for being critical of what my parents said, because that was what they knew and they were protecting me. I still love and miss them. Yes.
Yeah.
Our parents, they were doing the best they could. Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's hard because we recognize that they may have said things out of their own pain, and we have to work through that. So thank you for sharing that. We're surprised here to learn the strength to continue advocating for myself, how to reclaim and reframe, as it were. Genuinely appreciative of this community and work Inside Share. Thank you. Dysfunctional is an understatement. Like it's a playbook of oppression. Yes. Yes. I talk about Pet to Threat. Okay. So if you have not seen Pet to Threat, check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. So I was really honored to have two of the authors of Pet to Threat on some of my videos. So check those out. I'm trying to reach out to them to get all three of them in terms of interviews. So more to come on that. Okay. And don't have an opinion that is different from everyone else's. That's right. How dare you?
Yeah, you gotta be a team player.
You?
Oh my goodness, that's in the job description. Right. And they'll tell you, hey, you're not being a team player.
Right. Oh, wait, what about this one? What about this one? You're making people feel uncomfortable.
Like I'm making you feel uncomfortable. Oh my God. Or like you have to keep your voice down. That's another thing, because you don't want to say anything. Anytime you raise your voice and show any emotion, and I don't mean your voice, like raise your voice like me. I'm projecting right now. I'm talking.
Yeah,
you're in the room for people, so you're gonna protect your voice. You don't have to yell. Okay, calm down.
I'm like, another one. I got another one, girl. Oh, go on. No, go on.
Yeah, that
happened. Tell me vibing. Go on, girl. Go.
Yeah, no, like, you know, like how, to your point, some people expressed that they were uncomfortable, but you were yelling.
Yes.
Like yelling, deep voice, and if I talk like how I normally do, low, it's not going to project, you know.
Right.
Like, okay, right. That again, that's like nitpicking things. It is always to turn on you, and it's designed. It is designed.
It's gaslighting.
So there's a rubric. If you put everything on a rubric and you put the hierarchy of men all the way down, Black men are always going to fall at the bottom. I say that lower right quadrant is going to be Black women, because women are always under men. Even a lot of these quotes, a lot of these things, they're designed. Like the office is designed for men.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. That's where most of these jobs are. Think about it. Women stayed at home unless you had to work, because the shame on you that you don't have a husband, the shame on you that, you know, you're too poor, things like that. So there's a lot, there's just so much guilt and shame and condemnation that is a part of our
garbage. It's all garbage. This is
lexicon.
All garbage.
Even us, we perpetuate those things, you know.
Yes. Well, the thing too, because Alicia Renee talked about, again, that imposter video, everybody check that out. But she talked about, this is stuff we've been force fed. It's not just that somebody said, no, we've been force fed this information, and everything around it reinforces it. But I want to say another one before I go to the comments. I know we way over time. That's okay. So another one, ladies, that you might hear is, you know, I could have heard you if you said it a different way. You know, it was just the way you said it. You know, it was so like that, right? That tone policing. Okay.
Yeah, like it had a tone. Are you okay? You upset? I've heard from some people. How'd you hear from some people and we're literally walking out the conference? But a lot of times they'll be, you know what I mean? Like they have their group. They'll be texting each other, things like that. They talk smack. And some of us have even been included on some of those emails by accident.
Yeah.
Or on some of the little group texts, you know, by accident.
They've been exposed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like we have been taught as Black women that we cannot do not have emotions. We cannot have emotions.
No.
So we're so disconnected from them. Again, back to slavery. I forget I think it might have been Dee we were talking about, because I mentioned that my mother was not very maternal. Again, she wanted us to be strong. And Dee said, you know, that's a remnant of slavery.
Absolutely.
If you loved your child, they would take it away. That blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody, please read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. If you have not read that already, Dr. Joy DeGroy, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. That's exactly, Dee, you were on it. That is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. So in that book, she talks about how as a people, we have never healed from slavery because number one, they gaslight us like, oh, slavery's over.
Yeah, really? Because they redline
racism.
It's redlined. And in many cities I've lived in, it's redlined still.
Right. Racism is still here.
Right.
The remnants of slavery is still here. Okay.
Right.
So she talks about how the remnants of slavery are still persisting now, even within our own communities, how we internalize certain things, even in terms of the parent-child relationship. Okay. So everybody, please check out Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGroy. It is outstanding. You have to read that book. Okay. So thank you, Dee, for saying that. That was really good. Let's see. I can't mention my grad work in most conversations. You literally watch most shut down because how dare I utilize learned knowledge from direct authority effectively? It's easier saying less. Yeah. 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 It's so much to say, and I've really tried to provide a lot of content, to talk about not only the racism that we experience in jobs, but racism we experience in academia, right? It's all over the place. It's all over the place, but it's important for us to recognize and see what's happening and pay attention to our signs and try to get in situations where we're not in these situations anymore, okay? OMG, this is so infuriating. I can't even imagine. I think they were talking about those crazy bosses. That was crazy. Thankful for this conversation. Gave my notice last week. Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
They're trying to get me to stay longer. Now they want to know what they can do. What? Go somewhere with that. Okay. I was told no to having a second day to work from home. Girl, I'm so glad you're gone. Congratulations. Taking your power back. Okay.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. Oh, what do we do? You know what you've been doing. Don't act stupid. I cannot stand when people act. When people like act ignorant, that is one of my triggers. I cannot stand that. Okay. Exhausted from minimizing masking, not only I don't know, but also masking, filtering Black feminists. Exhaustion is real. Yes, it is. I'm not even a mom, and watching my 40 plus peers is heartbreaking. Yes, everyone questions us. They do. That hypervigilance is overactive and overdrive. Yes, because of their trauma. They love to direct their vitriol towards us. Yes, they do. Greetings. One thing I can say, I am proud of myself throughout my work experiences. Always wore my locks and cultural clothes with negative and positive feedback, but I didn't care. Good
for you.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it, sis. I love it. That was one thing I refused to let them take from me. Yes. Okay. Beyonce, you won't break my soul. You're not going to tell me what I can wear. You ain't going to do that, right? No. Take off. Oh, look at this. I could never sleep on Sunday night. I'm so sorry, sis.
Yeah.
Hope, sis, is that you're able to be in a place that's less toxic. I'm a little jaded now about jobs in general. I'm like, I don't want to work for nobody, right? I do contract work and but I'm like, I'm jaded. Okay. Had an internist last year, wind up doing a site consult and a dermatologist to explain to me my edges were a result of stress-induced alopecia. Only grew back during a leave of absence. Isn't that something? That stress, I'm telling you, it kills you. Yes, anxiety, panic attacks, dread, and worry. Yes, indeed. Leave of absence from job-related stress, anxiety, depression, getting help, deep discipline help was necessary back in corporate America, but recognize now that I need to leave ASAP. They don't care. And let me just say this. I was not necessarily in corporate America. I would say this is across the board in any job, honestly. This is what I've heard, what I've experienced, everything. Okay, we talked about that part. This is surreal listening to this. Good still, surreal. Consider how silence is rewarded. Yes, indeed. This is inspiring in terms of healthy boundaries and action. At one time, I felt like my dread of going to the job was just me being lazy. But it really
only called us lazy when we stopped working for free.
Girl, and they're lazy. That's what they're trying to put on labor. Okay,
you're doing 2-3 times what they're doing, maybe more.
Yes,
so who's the lazy one?
Yes, exactly. But listen to this. But it really was my soul telling me that I didn't belong in these spaces, and it made me feel depressed. Absolutely, I completely relate to what you're saying.
Me too.
Thank you. I waited out, but even paying my modest bonus early is not worth it. The bald spot in my head that showed up months ago is only just beginning to grow back. I need peace. Sis, I'm praying that you find a way out and that you find peace. And that if you are in therapy, I hope that you're talking to your therapist about it. And if not, that you seek therapy. So Apryl talked about different therapy resources, therapy for Black girls. I also want to mention a few others. So there's the Loveland Foundation that will be in the description section as well. The Loveland Foundation provides free therapy services for Black women. Okay.
Oh,
So contact them. And also the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. My allergies are messing up, so you probably can't hear it correctly, but we'll have that in the description section as well. But the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation is Taraji P. Henson, the actress, right?
Okay.
So she has an organization to support mental health awareness in the Black community. Periodically, they will provide free therapy services for Black women and sometimes Black men. So check that out as well, okay? Ma'am, literally reclaiming your crown. Yes.
That's what this is.
Yes, reclaiming, girl. And so they're supporting one another in the chat. So I'm not going to call people's names. Learning after many fails to follow my gut and go with what feels like peace. Good. I love it.
That's right. Better late than never.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. So they just loving on you. They loving on you. Okay.
Thank you.
Based on my personal experiences, I know that our family, including our children, experience the traumas. So it's better to get out if we can, as soon as we can. I'm glad that you made it out, sis. So that was from my sister friend, Sister Harriet, Colette Elizabeth. So check out her channel. She does talk about how being in that stressful, toxic job really impacted her health to a degree that her kids had to really come in and just tell her, no, you got to go. You got to go. Yes, recreating the cycle. Love this topic. Super important, especially for our healing and recovery journey. Yes. I don't know how many times I heard good job from my family. I said that right. Ugh, ridiculous. I'm so thankful for this conversation tonight. Yes, awesome. Oh, so someone in the chat is like just saying how deeply touched she is by this conversation. So deep. Okay. Black women have to realize that we are now seen as a threat. Oh, they can't believe that you have a 28-year-old either, girl.
Oh,
they're like, no, you don't. No, you don't, girl. Black don't crack. No, you don't. Okay.
Like, oh, who was that guy you were with? Who was my neighbors?
My son.
You know, they're probably like, my son.
Black don't crack. Okay, I love it.
And joy is the serum. You know, they got
cause of radiation. You're radiating joy.
Letting that stuff go. Like I looked older. I had stress on my face. I was starting to get lines and things. Now I have my laugh creases. I have no gray hairs, no nothing. Like, it is really a fountain of youth. It's the Benjamin Button. It's that peace and ease. You know,
absolutely. And I gotta say this too. I had a consultation, so I do job consultations with Black women trying to leave. So this liberating, I'm trying to liberate you, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So one of the women that I was working with actually contacted me. She said, you know what? You will not believe I went to the doctor and they were saying that I look younger since I've left that toxic job. And there's been a reverse process of my gray hairs. My gray hairs are no longer gray anymore. I was like, what? I've never heard that before, but I want to share that with everyone.
My eyesight was starting to get bad, but when I started healing, it's gotten better. Like it was getting really bad. I've had to say I've worn glasses since I was, I think, like 10 or 11, and contacts really since my teens. And I've had the same prescription, but it started getting bad year over year. And the doctor told me, okay, well, if this keeps going like this next year, we're going to have to get you some, I believe, progressive lenses or something. But then when I left, my prescription is now back to what it's always been for, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So your body regenerates itself. It heals itself. So that's the great part about it. I never had hair. I've always wanted like a little stripe in the front, like Anne Bancroft. I've yet to have any gray hairs. But like I was getting stress lines in my face, and creases, and I look like I was wincing all the time.
Oh.
Like a wince look on my face. And I would tell myself, relax your face. And that's when I would realize, like, I'm like,
it's the stress.
Yeah. Like just my face is just
clenching.
Okay.
Black women have to realize that we are now seen as a threat because of our educational status, natural creative abilities, and strength and power that we exude when we walk into the room. Absolutely. I completely agree. That's what I'm praying will happen for me once I leave this job. I've aged so much in the last 2 years. Yes, sis. Yes. Cortisol is vile. It's not supposed to live there. Emergency only, but capitalism is going to oppress you. Absolutely. Okay.
Every day, all day, for weeks and years on end. Our bodies are not designed to be in that, like that adrenaline. It messes with your adrenal glands. I mean, it messes with your
Well, let me just say this too. Let me say this. So there's research now from the American Heart Association that is saying that Black women are now dying at earlier ages, that we're developing cardiovascular diseases earlier, and we're very much impacted by issues of racism, sexism. So what's going on in the environment, your toxic job. That's why I talk about this too, because when I was at that toxic job, I was very aware that women, Black women, who are not that much older than me, were dying. They were dying. And even people within my age category, dying, developing heart disease, cancer, having strokes, heart attacks. And I just want to say, I had to say, you know what? I love myself too much. I love God too much.
Yeah.
I love my family too much to let this job take me out. We're not going to do that. Okay. We're not going to do that.
I had 2 people actually died on the job.
Ooh.
One man, they didn't discover him in his office until Monday morning.
Oh my God.
He worked so much. His wife didn't, she thought, oh, maybe I missed him. Yeah. He died on a Friday and they discovered him on Monday.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just these jobs. Not only that, I just want to quote to Dr. Nadia Lopez and Emery Archer, the anti-HR lady, talk about, why are we killing ourselves for jobs that would not mourn for us in our graves? They will just move on. They will be fine. Okay. And we would have lost our lives for what? No, it's not worth it. It is not worth it.
One of the videos that I made, well, I only have 3, but anyway, one of the videos that I made right now is about who are you without the titles, the education and like these accolades. And the reason I made that video is because I had to go through a process, in kin with what you just said, is my therapist had me do an exercise. What would people say about you after you die? Like, and it was like, well, they were only saying things really about work. Like, he worked really hard to provide for her.
Deep. That reminds me of Stephanie Perry talked about that too, about that she, part of her decision was too that she didn't want to wait to retirement, right? If you follow Stephanie Perry, you've heard this already. She didn't want to wait to retirement. And she's like, well, what if I don't even make it to retirement?
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee. And she was talking about how many funerals have we gone to where they are speaking over, the obituary, they're speaking over a Black woman about, she's such a hard worker. She's such a hard worker, but she's no longer with us.
She showed up at church. We could always depend on her to help us with the church. I mean, those are not things. And I realized, like, all of this me putting work in the place of a lot of, very traumatic events in my life, like I mentioned this on my conversation with Dee, but I miscarried and I had to, deliver a stillborn. I was almost 7 months pregnant. And what did I do? I found out on a Wednesday and I worked. I knew something was wrong on Tuesday. I went to the hospital on Wednesday. They told me, hey, we need to, do this. We have to induce you. We have to, just things. And I said, okay, well, I can take off a half day on Friday. And I did. Yep, I did that. I drove myself to the hospital. I stayed there. I drove myself back home from the hospital. God. So that when I say that I was a workaholic, I don't mean it in the colloquial sense.
Yeah.
I mean it like I did. All I had was work. That's one thing that I knew I could do well. Yeah. That's one thing that I know who I am, and I'm a good worker.
Yeah.
And I'm smart, and I always get the answers, even if I have to research it myself. Like, that's all I had to hang on to. Again, I was a extremely shy, awkward teenager. They were extremely surprised when I got pregnant. You sisters, different story. They would have expected me. Hey, for what? And so I didn't know who, I didn't really have my identity yet. It probably would have come more in college, I would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Or maybe my junior, senior year, but I have my son my senior
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
So I didn't know who I was, and that scared me. It scared me.
Mhm.
I came to the realization long before,
Mhm.
I set out on my path to self-discovery, as I call it. I knew it, but I didn't have, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the space in it and all this other stuff that's going on. I can't take one more thing. Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to try to find myself? So what I did was I worked, I just continued to work. I was supposed to take vacations. Oh, well, we need you here. My director said, well, my wife is telling me that I work too much and we're going to spend time in our yurt and Telluride. So I know that you were planning on taking off, and that was when I was 40, and that's when the tide changed. Because I was gonna
Like no
celebrate my
more.
40th birthday. I'm gonna take vacation. I was gonna go to Brazil. I was gonna go to the part where the Black people are. I was gonna cook. I mean, I paid a lot of money for this curated trip, and now I'm canceling. I had insurance, but I still took a L on 25%. And I
Wow.
did that, but I said, this is it. This
Good.
is the last thing. And I knew that I was going to leave. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. That's why I started meeting with the therapist.
Mhm.
And he told me some things to do for boundaries, try to put those boundaries in. In
Mhm.
my instance, I don't know, you may be at a job where you are volunteering for more work. And you
Mm.
may not even realize that. Like, they are not putting this work on you. You're volunteering for it.
But it's
So,
important to think the why. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like if you're
Yeah.
doing that, think like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
And that's
like,
why
you
therapy is important.
no, I'll do it. I'll do it. It's okay. I can do it. I did this part anyway, so I can do it. It'll take no time. But again,
No,
that shows up in other areas of our life. It's not just limited to work.
no.
But I knew that they were not having the boundaries. Doing that,
Yeah.
you got kicked out the Cool Kids Club, that got the retaliation, that got, the harassment, things like that. So and the intimidation, and
Mhm.
they messed with my money.
Mhm.
I get quarterly bonuses. Got quarter. Well, I mean, I do now in this job, and we can talk about that because I want to talk about going back to corporate after you've been in this
Girl,
position.
listen, we're gonna have to do a separate video about that. Because let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I recognize that I'm a little biased, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
of what I've gone through. I I have a hard time telling Black women to just go get another job
yeah.
because
No, I don't.
I've
I don't.
heard
But
so many Black women,
honestly, you know,
right?
yeah,
So what I would love to do, April, is to talk about, because again, I'm biased. I can't
yeah,
talk to Black women about that. I can't talk to them about the process, right? I would love for you to talk about it from your perspective in terms of how Black women may think and what they go through in relation to that. And I don't want to shortchange it. We're gonna have a whole conversation about that. Okay. So
okay,
ladies,
good.
get ready for that one. Okay.
Oh
Keep
yeah,
an eye out for that. I'll let you know when
okay.
it comes up. So April gonna tell us about that. Okay.
Oh yeah, because
Yes.
there's jobs out there. I mean, I know I can't work for anyone else long term,
Yeah.
but they serve their purpose,
Yes.
and it is simply an exchange of time and a service for compensation. So I went
Absolutely.
in with boundaries, and again, yeah, I would love to discuss that whole process
Yeah,
because
we're gonna talk
certain
about that. We're gonna
certain
talk about that.
keywords to look
Yeah.
out for in these job descriptions. But
Yeah.
it started with me. I had to identify what I want, what I need, and what are my non-negotiables. What am I unwilling to do? So yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah,
And I just feel like we keep quoting Stephanie Perry because she talks a lot about these things, and we're both in her YouTube Success Society. But Stephanie Perry talks about, number one, don't let a job define who you are. A job is what you do.
right.
It's not who you are. It is a means to an end for you to make
Yep.
money so you can live your life. It is not to kill you. It is not to control your life. So let us take our power back. And that's what you saw today,
Mm-hmm.
ladies. April's taking her power back. She's
Oh
telling
yeah.
you how to do it, right?
Yep.
Let's see.
Oh,
Okay, actually happened. Okay. You will have light. Okay, talking about in terms of leaving your job. You will have light and feel lighter once you leave the environment that is harming you. I'm
mm-hmm.
living witness. Yes, you are, Colette. Yes, you are. I appreciate the encouragement. I'm going to hold and believe it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So glad you made out your toxic job. Yes. We have to rely on our intuition, which is
Mm-hmm.
spiritually aligned with who we are. Yes, you are not my friend. Those are the ones who say, oh, I just want you to know. I
As
just
if coming to you as a friend. We're not friends.
We ain't friends. Stop it. Stop it. Get out of my face. Okay.
Not friends.
On, turns music up. Sorry, I gotta focus. Yeah, go away. Get back. You're not my friend. Okay. Gotta love therapy breakthroughs. Most workplaces are dysfunctional because so many people are mentally and emotionally unstable. Yes. Black women need to remove themselves from these detrimental toxic plantations. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And yes, right? And may I add, deeply insecure people who are mediocre at best. Okay. What? She is younger than me. Me too. Yes. So we put April's information here. So remember, check it out. Okay. Subscribe to our channel. Check these resources out. To reach adulthood without having a wonderful, clarifying sense of Black girlhood or womanhood. Goodness. So very glad she has found her happy home in herself and loving herself versus sick sisters. Yes.
Yes.
So, okay. So they're subscribing already, girl. They're
Oh, yay. I love it.
Subscribe with notifications. Okay.
YouTube's mad at me. YouTube's mad at me like, oh, I pushed these 2 videos and then you ain't post them for 2 months. But again, you have to take a break. That's with anything. If you start feeling like you're pressured and kind of some of these old thoughts and patterns reappearing, shut it down. And you'll come back to it. I know that this is part, I call this my ministry. Like me talking to people and sharing my message is my ministry. I can't quote all the scriptures. I know I'm out here spreading the good news, but I'm spreading this good news.
Yes.
So I appreciate.
And that's the most powerful thing, right? So I feel the same way. That I started my YouTube channel when I was in YouTube challenge with Stephanie Perry, right? Didn't have a YouTube channel, but I knew because I did a video about, God, why does this happen to me? Yeah. Why me? I'm a good person. Why did this happen to me? And God was saying to me, because girl, you're going to say something about it. And nobody else is going to do it. So that you have to do it. So when I was in a YouTube challenge, Stephanie Perry, we have to produce a video. So if you're in that YouTube challenge, you're going to have to make a video. Okay. Oh, yeah. Ready. So you have to make a video. And so when she was going around asking everybody, okay, so what are you guys going to talk about? And when I said, I think I want to talk about Black women toxic jobs, she's like, girl, do it. I could barely finish saying that. She's like, girl, do it. And I've been doing this over a year. And this is therapy for me too. This is therapeutic for me too, to talk about healing, my healing journey, but I'm supporting the healing of others. So just like when you talked about Apryl, when you're sharing your story and all these Black women are pouring into you, they are resonating with you and they're thanking you for being courageous enough to tell your story. So thank you. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Something my therapist often says she appreciates from me, the fact that I go to her because the certain areas figuring things out on my own is not working. And I trust her. Right. So that's when you have a good relationship with your therapist. You're able to tell them, hey, I'm struggling with this. That's a good therapeutic relationship. Okay. That's so unfortunate. And I hate to say that minority women I've worked for, not good situations. Yes. And that's unfortunate because some of these situations, and when I say it's not always white women, right? Yeah. The workplace bully that I had, now I think she might have identified as white when it worked for her benefit, but then she identified as BIPOC too. I don't know, whatever. But it's not just white women, okay? It's not just Black women. Okay, so we talked about that. Okay, so they are just saying yes. It's a miracle that any Black woman is mentally and emotionally stable, considering the overt and covert abusive experiences we have endured for centuries. It absolutely is. But that speaks to something about us, right? In terms of our power and our spirituality. Yeah. Right? Okay, so I can say a lot about that, but I'm not going to do that right now. Way over time. Okay, that's true. Well, Apryl, you're preaching. Need to let the old injustices go. Corporate is just a different type of shackle. They cannot be your friend if they enjoy your role in it. That's so true. Okay, so talk about that. This is a queen. I feel that all the systems of this country are various shades of slavery and corporation. Corporate America is indentured servitude at best. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I would just say any system, honestly. Okay, thank you for choosing freedom. Thank you for your presence and solidarity. Seriously, choosing freedom can be a lonely place, but this evening is truly sealing the deal. I'm sending you all the healing, peaceful vibes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I appreciate you all. Okay, thank you, Apryl. Okay, so we talked about H&E abroad. We talked about all the other girls. So many. Okay. Oh my God, it's so many. I'm trying to be cautious. Okay, so everybody, we know about her YouTube channel. Check that out. Okay, Therapy for Black Girls. A lot of good resources. Good. People saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending good vibes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Black women YouTubers. Yes. Alicia's music and voice is so healing. Yes, it is. Excuse me. I'm going back to work after 6 days of medical leave due to stress. Don't want to go back. Sis, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor.
Extend that leave. Extend it.
But go see what you need to do about that. That's all I got to say. Okay.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm a fan of extending that leave. And don't feel bad about it. That job, if something happened to you today, if you quit today, they're going to replace you. Also, that's their company. That's not your company. Exactly. That's something to stop doing. Where I work now, I don't say our unless I'm talking about my team, my reports, my org. Otherwise, it's theirs. Or I say
it's theirs. And then you're not benefiting from it at all.
So you don't owe them anything. You really don't. You don't.
No. Exploited. Yes, Alicia's wonderful. I pray your way out is revealed immediately. Wish you peace and freedom and wholeness. I love you all. You all are so incredible how we're supporting each other. Listen to this. Binge watching Apryl's videos after this live. I love it.
It's late. Some people, they go.
I love it.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I love it.
That's fine.
This channel's first and the other channels mentioned are great supplementary support spaces. In the meantime, got to turn on all notifications to just listening helps. I love that. Yeah. Listen. We're here to support you, okay? You're not alone. You're not alone, okay? The anxiety is valid, right? Yes, it is. Okay, so again, get on the planning session wait list. So I'll put this up here like this. Okay. Fannie Lou Hamer, that's my girl. That's one of my sheroes, like Harriet Tubman. I love them. Love them. Yes. I got to be careful of what I say. I share too much sometimes and technically employed in toxic finance sector. Go back to roadmap out. You're worth the focus. Yes. Save yourself. Okay. Oh, look. Colette Elizabeth already signed up, girl, for your planning session.
Yay. All right.
Talking about immediate action. She already signed up. I love this community. Everybody else sign up too. Okay. I love this community, girl. Yes. Don't worry about the website. They don't care about the website.
Oh, okay. All right. No website.
They don't care about that. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Yes, we're human. We have emotions, collaboration over competition, trying to get clarity from liars that, yes, they're not going to tell you the truth because they're imposters. They're the imposters. Okay. Yeah. Getting clarity from people who don't even view you as fully human. That's right, Marissa. That's a bunch of mess.
Trying to impress people that you really don't even like. Forget about they don't like you. You don't like them neither. So why are you working so hard?
How about they're incompetent? And you're trying to impress people who are incompetent.
And you don't even like them.
No, not robots, no emotions off button, just meat suit, just like you navigating the census, but sure, no crying. Sorry, humans cry. Just facts dehumanizing me in front of a lawyer. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yes, it's so exhausting. Cool kids. The cool kids have to conform.
Oh, the cool kids club?
Yes, they're so insecure. It's them. Baby, it's self-evaluation or annual review time. This is exactly the speech managers use when they provide feedback during your performance review. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Dee. You cannot get clarity from the incompetent, insecure, and or immature, period. That's right, Colette Elizabeth. That's right, my sister friend. We're angry for many reasons. We learn by listening to their stories, by hearing how they came to fit in. It's a tactic. I know who I am. Yes, know who you are.
That's right.
You know your worth. You're better. Yes, absolutely.
And they can't pay you enough. Your piece is not for sale.
No.
There's not a value on your piece.
Yeah, tone, catch-22. Yes, good. I'm reading Not Yelling by Elizabeth. I think her name is Liba.
Oh,
I have that book. I need to read that book. I have it.
Hold on, I got a little notepad over here.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. The performance reviews, and technically they can't mention your leave of absence, but conveniently include your single-digit percentage dip in performance to call you mid and give you a radius that laughs at rent. Okay, they do some shady stuff. Shady. Yep, we're dealing with anti-Blackness and sexism and misogyny,
Mhm.
all of
Yep.
that,
Yep.
all of that. OMG, you're bringing back old work BS. I forgot about. Ugh.
Oh,
Uh,
my apologies.
no, 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 no.
Hopefully,
Don't
hopefully
apologize.
didn't ruin your night.
Don't, April, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
Right. I think what she is saying is sometimes it's good to reflect on how far we've come and what
Oh,
we've come from. So don't apologize. Okay.
okay. I didn't want to be
But
like
I
trauma.
did no. We're gonna reject that. I did keep trying to operate in this jacked up system for all these decades. Yes. Managers coming with other people. Yes, yes, yes. Make your voice a little softer. Maybe can you talk this way, right? This show has been such a powerful vibe, right? It absolutely is. Wow, you just blew my mind with that, April. The non-maternal factor. Whoa.
I know
You
that's how I felt.
heard?
Like,
That means you've been discussing me. Do tell, right? Yes, you've been talking about me behind my back, and they're gonna try to tell me. I just want to tell you. Go somewhere with that, okay? Yes, it's like effed up labor trifecta, general racism, and then in terms of thinking about how as Black women, we are seeing the racism, the sexism, the intersectionality, right?
mm-hmm.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Please read that book. Again, post-traumatic slave syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Okay. Yes, the legal institution of slavery ended, but the practice never went anywhere. Nope, it is alive and well. Okay.
It's evolved with the times.
Man, it's 100% about control. I remember being quiet in a meeting. Folks complained that I seemed withdrawn and not engaged. So it literally doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
No, they're going to find something, right?
Yeah.
Hey, girl, hey. Let's see. Please invite Goddess April back soon. She coming back soon? Keep an eye. She coming back soon. Okay. Thank you, Dr. K. Thank you, April. I love y'all. I'm empowered by the congrats I'm getting for quitting.
Yes.
From my online
again.
Yes, do it. I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna celebrate you even more in a minute, okay? And I love how you all are staying here. We 2 hours and 16 minutes in, but I love it. Okay. Thank you, bunches. Thank you, ladies. I'm now on leave of absence and getting my life back. Yes. Yes, the job is very toxic. Congratulations. Yes, it got to be too much. Now I have to get my hair, sleep back. Wow. Oh, that's true. My hair has reverted from being gray, and I lose melanin when stressed. When I got more of those white spots, I'm in a good shade of brown. I know that I've been extra stressed.
Oh.
Thank you. Much love and peace to everyone. These ladies know what they are talking about. No, we're not meant to be in survival mode 24/7. Racial weathering is real. So I talked about racial weathering once too. I think I'm going to do a separate video about that, but weathering deals with when the stress, the trauma that we've gone through, racism, sexism, all these other things causes our body to age. So our internal organs are aging. So we might be one age, but our organs are much older. Okay. I actually witnessed where an employee gave his all to the company, avoided health issues. They had his replacement by the time of his funeral service. That woke me up. And if you all saw, like maybe it was about a month ago or so, where the interim president of Temple University, and there was another Black woman, high-ranking Black woman in higher education, both died, right? It was a very short period of time. I think it was 3 of them. It was 3 of them, I think, within 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and didn't one die at the funeral?
Yes.
Fell out at the funeral.
So the woman, and I think her name was Dr. Epps. I think that was Dr. Epps. I think Dr. Epps was at a memorial service for one of her colleagues, Temple University, right? She collapses. They take her out. And guess what? They just kept going on. Okay. Another sign. Okay. I literally had to buy a blood pressure cuff due to the stress. And I'm 40, 130 pounds at most, 5'7", active physical fitness through various hobbies, but job trying to kill me like it's a challenge. Yes, it doesn't matter, right? We're talking about the stress, right? We talked about that earlier. Oh, wow, April, I'm so sorry for your loss. Yes, we are sorry for your loss, April. Okay, so we're all supporting one another. Yes, also a really good resource too is Homecoming by Dr. Tamar Bryant. And Dr. Tamar Bryant is a Black woman clinical psychologist who is the president of the American Psychological Association. She also has a podcast. So she has a homecoming podcast. So you all need to check that out too. Okay. I'm on blood pressure medication that I don't have to take on weekends. Wow. But it's not the jobs. Wow. That's deep. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So check out the mindset, take those paid days off, prepare for the others. I definitely will have boundaries moving forward. Yes, I kept volunteering for things, childhood wounds. Yes, your childhood upbringing influences how you impact in the workplace. Okay, I'm gonna do a video about that too. Okay, I'll be tuning in. No, okay, we need this. The first step of change and awareness is 2020. Yes, we need a whole video. Oh, Colette. Okay, Colette's my friend. Okay, I'm gonna try not to call out my friend. Okay, but this she just said, and Colette, you know you first up, right? You know you first up for this. Okay, yes, we need an entire video devoted to going back into the workplace. Colette gonna be a guest about this soon. I hope so. Soon, right, Colette? I hope so. Okay, not to call you out too much. Okay, sis. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, so everybody. You all have been with us for 2 hours. Yeah. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay. We're going to really close it down. I want to share with you all too. First of all, that I appreciate all of you in terms of tuning in, supporting one another, supporting Apryl, right? Please seek out the resources that she's offering you, right? So in terms of different things I want to share with you before we sign off. So for those of you who are already aware of, that I have a masterclass that gets your money right and leave that toxic job. This is for Black women. This is a financial masterclass for Black women. Had one a couple of weeks ago, I think, with Dr. Roche Brown, who is a financial psychologist. She's also a clinical psychologist like me. And I worked with her to get my money right so I can leave that toxic job, right? So we are collaborating to help more Black women get out that dang toxic job, okay? So you need to get your tickets because early registration just opened, okay? Now, last time I was telling people to register and it was full, right? So I'm telling you now, it's not full, okay? Early registration just dropped. So you need to get your ticket, okay? So it will be webinar format, so no one will see you because we know as Black women, we got to watch out. Because again, like plantations, the overseers, the other people trying to get you, okay? So we are going to make sure that it's Zoom webinar format. No one will see you, okay? But you need to get it, okay? So that will be January 3rd and 4th. It's collaboration between Dr. Roche Brown and I. And so she's going to talk about getting your financial. I'm so sorry, ladies. It's so many chats, more comments coming in. I can't even get to them. I'm so sorry. I can't do it. You see my throat?
Put it in the comments.
You see my throat? I'm getting like little, right? Because I've been talking too much, okay? So I see you all. I see you all and I appreciate you all, okay? Now, here's the information on the screen for the masterclass, okay? So it is to get your money right and leave that toxic job. It is a financial masterclass for Black women, January 3rd and 4th. The early registration is up now. So get it before it sells out, okay? So you will also get the replay later, but the live is so much better. It's so much better, okay? So everybody, I'm signing off, okay? We're signing off, okay? So I appreciate all of you, right? I appreciate all of you. It's like the after party, right? We had the live, that's the after party. So
now we're standing in the driveway. Somebody's in the car, the ignition's running, and I'm talking through the window.
Right.
You know.
Right. Okay. We're signing off. So everybody, okay, like I'm saying, like Apryl's saying, please listen to what we said in this video. It's a long video. A lot of gems were dropped, okay? If you need to watch the video again and again and again, please do so. Pause, reflect, watch it again. Share this video with at least 2 other Black women. I'm asking you, at least 2, okay? Do more. But if you could do at least 2, that'll be great. Okay. If you want to be an overachiever, share this video with more than 2 Black women. Okay. And Apryl, Colette, Marissa, Stephanie, Alicia, Rashida, anti-HR lady, picky girl, all of us are out here in YouTube. We'll try H&D Abroad,
Yeah.
Back to Legacy. We are all out here trying to support you. Please support and access all these resources available to you, okay? Mm-hmm. So I know for me, as a Black woman, a licensed clinical psychologist, and a toxic job survivor, I am ushering in a movement to help as many Black women as I can to leave and heal from toxic jobs. You cannot heal in that same environment that's harming you. You cannot heal. They continue to beat you down. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And whenever I start thinking, God, why me? Why did you do this to me? I get confirmation. I get more Black people. No, I get more people from that place that I used to work from. They're not even Black. Not even Black. They are contacting me and saying, we're watching you, girl. They're not even Black. They're watching me. Girl, we're watching you. Thank you for talking about what you're talking about. It has gotten worse. It's gotten worse. It is not going to get better for you. Okay. So please listen, pay attention to the signs. Okay. We're signing off. April's going to be with us again. And I'll let you know when she's with us again. Okay. Okay, everybody. Have a good night. And I'll see you later. April, if you could just stay on for a moment. Okay. Okay. Bye, everybody.